Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the listeners of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. We're back again with a brand new episode, today being episode 52. Will is here, Jason is here, belly's full of ramen. We are primed and ready to go for a very meaty episode. So, Jason, how are you doing, my guy?
Just doing stuff.
Doing stuff, right? Just doing weeb stuff?
Just whatevs.
Normie
Actually,
stuff?
no. I'm trying to do weeb stuff. I'm trying to do normie stuff, and all I'm doing is just
Nothing.
nothing.
Well, I mean, there's work too, right? Is that what's holding you back from realizing your true potential, Jason?
Because the winner of last year's GAP finale awards for one of them is the Thin Ice Award, and guess what? The winner for that is called work and occupation, and living up to the name. I am doing a lot of good work. I'm liking it, but still, you can't deny that it's
eating into your weeb time, right?
I mean, I have a very long commute, Will, so usually on the way there and back, I kind of use that time to watch anime and manga and read manga, and sometimes on the way back, or most of the time, I'm just exhausted. Yeah. On the way there, though, rock solid time.
But that's a luxury to have. There's a lot of listeners here that drive to work, right? They should not be watching anime.
But what you should be doing instead is listening to us spitball about anime and manga, exactly what we're going to do now. Because guess what, listeners? For a few long episodes, we have neglected to mention any reading, watching segments. And I'm glad to say that, at least for this episode, this recording, we have some of that. So I am going to first talk about an update on the seasonals, which is the winter 2023 seasonals that Will suggested that I watch Handyman Saito.
So good.
And this is based on the 4-koma manga of the same 4-koma manga. I was about to say 4-koma panel manga of the same name by Kazutomo.
It's almost like saying like the 4 yawn coma manga panel.
Was it like Master Shifu, right? Was it in Kung Fu Panda? I was like, that's just Master. That's like saying Sensei. But hey.
Well, it's also like the baseball team, the Los Angeles Angels, which is the Angels.
Well, are they? Is it like the plus becomes a negative?
I mean, they're still a good team, I suppose.
But
Shohei Ohtani, if you hear this, rooting for you.
Hey, you can pitch and you can hit. It's pretty rock solid. Handyman Saito, though, I have to say is also extremely rock solid. I had a higher expectation going in rather than looking at the MAL score based off of Will's recommendation. And I really have to admit that a lot of shows have readjusted their scores as they usually do around this time because people watched a couple of episodes and decided to chime in. Handyman Saito did get the bump, but very insignificant as compared to some of the others as well. I have to say, though, very nice, comforting, and sometimes even quite bloody, Will.
I mean, in the end, it still like plays into that fantasy isekai where there is going to be that kind of medieval violence as well, right? So
yeah,
but it's not like super in your face violence. It hits like certain points in the story where like you see the act of violence happen. You're like, oh yeah, no, they're still in a world where people plunder and kill to survive.
Or like, I broke my bone. I fell and broke my bone, and that was kind of hard to watch if you're not like.
That was episode 1, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so I watched a couple episodes in. Another thing that I did not expect was similarly with the 4-koma manga kind of style, which is basically very short 4 panels to kind of either be a chapter or whatnot. The episodes are kind of split into like vignettes, like mini short episodes that technically if you were to separate them, it's kind of like each are like, 5 minutes or 8 minutes, and some are even longer, but they have an overarching story or like here is a little side quest kind of side story thing. And they're all like very good. And I really like the fact that the characters by design have their own either flaws or kind of like quirk, I guess, like kind of offbeat nature. Almost every character has it.
I love it. It's a shame that it doesn't seem like as many people as us love it, though, because I mean the ranking, it's the score for it right now is still a 7.16, which, okay, fair, right? 7 is still a decent score. I just feel it's a little bit criminal, a little bit underrated. Can you say underrated?
I definitely think so, especially when you could see all the other anime seasonals that got the bump and some dropped. I mean, shout outs to, I guess, Bungo Stray Dogs for really rising up in the charts, and really sad to see Vinland Saga kind of drop a little bit, but hey.
Admittedly, it is a little bit slow after the first episode. The first episode was fucking fantastic, and then afterwards it slows down a bit, but I'm fully expecting it to go back into that full swing of being like Vinland crazy. Bungo Stray Dogs, yeah, no, for sure. Like I very much enjoy what I've been seeing so far.
Quick thing, I really don't like the fact that The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten is still the 4th highest ranked, like 7.92. And I just feel bad for the magical revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and Genius Lady. Dropped from like a 7.9 something, almost to an 8, to now a 7.84. Still very good, but still, just kind of like, I don't understand sometimes the way the scores shift. So it is what it is, though. So do you see there's like a new entrant into the top 10 though? Fucking Pokemon Master.
I
didn't want to mention that, but yeah,
that
I
was
did
weird.
See that.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I guess Ash had to do his final, lap around.
That's true, because they're killing him off along with Pikachu. For the upcoming Pokemon series, they're actually not using Ash and Pikachu anymore.
Shut the fuck up. Say that again. Yeah. Are you for real?
I'm for real. Yeah.
So he won the world champion, and everyone's like, oh, he fucking did it. All right, end of story. Let's move on, right?
I mean, let me pull it up, but for sure, like there's going to be no more Ash Ketchum. There's going to be no more Pikachu. It's going to be brand new characters to bring in the new iteration of Pokemon fans.
Right. So just like how we grew up with Ash Ketchum, or for me, for a long time, Ash Ketchup. I guess now we will have, what's the opposite of Ash?
I mean, the new characters are now called Liko and Roy. I mean, look at these dweebs.
Yeah, okay. Tell me Roy is the girl. That'll be more appropriate to me.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's enough about our spiel about Handyman Saito, as well as
Pokemon.
Pokemon and the Winter 2023 seasonals. I will continue to watch more. I promise I'll get to it. Just like how I promise I will finish some of the on-hold stuff. And here we are. I've decided to then start a mystery manga instead. So, Will, let me ask you something first. Do you care a lot about sports, just like a lot of, stereotypically guys do, and I do sports science. And you like sports a lot, though, like playing sports as well, right?
Not as much playing now, but definitely like watching it as a fan, for sure, yes.
And as kind of a spectator on the sidelines, there is kind of this disconnect between, for example, for argument's sake, I've been back into the NBA lately. Let's say, like, a LeBron James and Devin Booker, or,
I mean, how are you feeling about that Kevin Durant trade? It's fucking lopsided.
Wait. That was one half of the switch. Let's say 2 people left. Irving left as well.
Yeah.
Luka's really dope, though. But anyways, the point is that there are things that a world-class or top-class athlete either goes through their mindset that we, as, less highly performed athletes don't grasp. Would you say so?
Yeah.
I worked at the athletic department at my university, and I've hung out with a lot of athletes. They go through things that, on the surface.
Are you reading Real?
No, I did read Real already.
Okay.
So this is this kind of discussion reinvigorated me to read a manga by Koji Miura, who is a mangaka for Shonen Jump Weekly. Has a MAL score of 7.80, ranked 1242, popularity 402. Has yet to receive an anime adaptation. This is called Blue Box. So,
another Blue?
Correct. So we have Blue Lock, Blue Period, and now
Blue Exorcist.
And Blue Exorcist. Yeah, sorry, I tried to forget about that. But Sawano has
wasn't that bad.
Sawano has good soundtracks for that, though. So now, guess what? There is a Blue Box.
I think I've kind of heard of this before, but I mean, do tell. What is this manga series about?
So Taiki is kind of a badminton player in high school. All right, great.
What do you mean, kind of?
Well, he is.
Okay.
He's just the kind of mid,
Okay.
right? But there is the most popular girl, Chinatsu, and she is kind of the ace of the high school basketball team there. And she's on magazines and stuff, and she's being scouted, and she's kind of like the cream of the crop. And essentially, how they initially like converse or interact with one another is he wants to get better, so he goes to the gym early in the morning to practice, and she goes to the gym early in the morning to practice. And it is essentially about their relationship, lack thereof, budding romance and whatnot, all encompassed in this kind of realm of sports, athletes, talent versus hard work, the stereotypical tropes, as well as getting the drive to really do anything to the best of your abilities and sometimes failing. And it kind of gives me the vibe of how you go on and talk about Ayawashi. I'm not sure if it's exactly like Ayawashi, but at least some of the themes that you have at least told me, it seems to very fit in line with Blue Box, because it really puts you in the mentality of an athlete from the very cream of the crop or from the bottom underdog ascending the ranks. And I really like this manga because it really marries the shoujo elements as well as the sports elements in such a way that it makes it feel very nice and feel very fresh. And I really think that a lot of people are sleeping on this, and it is just 8 steps away from becoming an anime adaptation. I think there's even a live action announced or is already even out at this point.
Do you feel that with these kinds of like more like, because would you say it's a bit more of a serious kind of topic compared to like your typical series that gets greenlit for an anime?
Yeah,
because I find those kinds of things where it's like a little bit more like not venturing into more adult like topics, but rather more like mature, a little more serious. Those tend to get greenlit for live actions.
Yeah, because the manga is a very, what I would say, quiet manga. There aren't a lot of crazy drama. There isn't a lot of twists and turns, not crazy hype moments like Haikyuu. Instead, it decides to kind of just always be there, running its course, working hard behind the background, really putting in a lot of momentum. It's like when you see someone fight each other, and that's, kind of high octane, versus someone just saying a bunch of words, and then that carries a lot of weight and a lot of meaning. And is one of those things where I think that if it ever were to become an anime, and I think it will, the voice actors and actresses are going to have a really hard time, or they have to be very exact in terms of the tone that they convey out. Because it's one of those things where you say the same line, but you use a different tone. It's like the polar opposite meaning,
Yeah, that's why I think it's like it tends to be a bit easier to do with live action, simply because it's not just delivering lines, it's also in combination with like body movement, facial expressions and whatnot, and it's not like as straightforward to convey using art in terms of like creating an anime. So I can understand, like there's, as you mentioned, right, there's every possibility of Blue Box getting an anime adaptation. It's just to be able to make it good, or at least like make it to the standard that you accept it as a relatable anime series. You have to put a lot of work, and you have to do like your scouting like really, really well to get the right talents to be able to portray the same emotions that these characters go through.
Yeah, it gives me like a KyoAni vibe in terms of like the pace and slice of life part, but it has kind of like the heavy weight of like a very, I can't really remember any like studios that is really well known for really heavy topics that is actually, when you think about it, it's just high school kids playing sports.
I mean, KyoAni, right? KyoAni would be the place to go for that kind of stuff. I mean, like shit, like we talk about like fucking Violet Evergarden. We talk about Clanad and all that. Like these are like really, really deep and heavy like series that touch into human emotion, and they do it well. But like that's just like one example, and KyoAni like for sure holds that accolade on its own in terms of being able to translate like emotional script onto an emotional like animated screen. Not a lot of studios can do that. So like in order to make Blue Box a reality, it just sounds like this is a KyoAni thing.
Yeah. So it's published, obviously, by Shueisha. So no, by Shonen Jump. So basically, it is on Manga Plus, Jump Plus, and it's obviously published on Viz Media. Highly recommend it for one of those, like
420 in terms of popularity.
402 actually.
So how many members does it have then?
38K for manga. That's
sizable,
quite
yeah.
for manga. That's quite a bit. So.
I mean, like you've seen like manga with fewer people on Mal get greenlit for an anime.
Yeah. So hey, I think Blue Box is worth people's times to check it out, and it's always one of those things that gets your mind thinking, especially when you are in the realm of sports or if you are an athlete yourself. It really just gives you all these questions to ponder. You know, like how long does talent last? If you get injured, drive equals. You know, it really just broadens using the realm of sports and competitiveness and really ties it to kind of the grander way of how should you live your life. And I really respect it. I gave it currently an 8.5 out of 10. It's very close to a 9, but I kind of just want to read more before I really give it a 9 or an 8. And I have to try to figure out how that goes. I'm pretty sure it's a 9, though, to be honest.
If anybody needs more of a push to, think about reading Blue Box or not, it was nominated for the 7th next best a manga award in the best print manga category in June 2021. It was 8 out of 50 nominees, but ended up winning the global prize for that category as well. And it was also ranked 4th on the nationwide bookstore employees recommended comics of 2022.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say. It won hella awards, right, Will?
So I'm just backing you
up.
No.
Like for real. Like I forgot about that. Yeah. So I wanted to see what the buzz was all about, and I am on board. I'm on that train.
I mean, look at this too. Like in less than a week, 170,000 copies in circulation after its release for the first volume. Like that's a lot of people.
And the art is not. It's fine. The drawings and everything is not like grandiose kind of forest fantasy or kaiju number 8 levels of intricacy and destruction. It's just, I'll swoosh a basketball in. But when you see the swoosh, it's like the panels have nothing on there except minimal art, but on a way that it's not because it's lazy, but because it's deliberate and it looks nice.
I think it's also interesting too that you mentioned it definitely feels more of a shoujo despite it being released by Shonen Jump. Like
that's also the other thing. I'm hella surprised that this is getting that much momentum from a magazine like Shonen Weekly Jump.
Which traditionally, I mean, it's in the name, right?
Yeah.
It's traditionally a shonen like magazine syndication.
So props, honestly, and I think that this is a really good manga. That's really it. We went off a bit, but I really love the hell out of this manga.
I mean, that was a pretty good sort of like synopsis and like early review of it. I think that if you're listening to this and it intrigues you, go ahead. It's on Jump Plus, Manga Plus.
Exactly. So by all means, go for it, guys. So, well, what you can't go for example, is your remote control or your computer because COVID-19 is fucking up anime, guys.
Yeah. This is the time where we, switch out of the read watch section and go into the goddamn more news.
Oh yeah, sorry. Will and I did not read or watch COVID-19, okay? Just want to be clear. We are now transitioning to news.
But you are watching a lot of stuff that has been affected by COVID-19.
Well, I can't watch it, Will, because it has been affected by COVID-19.
Exactly, right? So we're not going to name every single series because in the last month, there's been like dozens of entrants in terms of, this studio is, got a COVID outbreak, so therefore production has been halted for XYZ. Like a month ago, it was Ayakashi Triangle.
Who gives a shit about that?
That spy one, I forgot what it was called.
Oh, Spy Classroom?
Yeah, that one also got... Yeah.
Kubo, Nier, Automata.
Which, to be fair, Nier Automata's back on the air, but it was off air for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I think Aniplex had an outbreak of sorts. I think that's where a lot of these shows stem from. So that's very unfortunate. I hope everyone does get better. One piece of news, though, is Uncle Isekai is coming back in March. But,
to all the people who are, watching this shit on Netflix, tough luck. You still can't watch anything beyond episode 7.
Are you telling me that episode 7 wasn't the finale, Will?
I know.
Oh, shit. There's more
stuff.
There's more, but where is
But
it?
you're never going to watch it because Netflix is never going to release it.
Netflix, get your fucking shit together.
Oh, they got other things to deal with right now. They got to start blocking more password sharing in other countries.
I feel
We're not even going to timestamp that. Like straight up, like Netflix, just fucking get your shit together.
All right, so Lycoris or Lycoris. I'm just gonna keep.
Just call it Lycoris.
Everyone. No.
Do you prefer calling it Lycoris or Lycoris?
Well, technically, I think the correct pronunciation is Lycoris. I'm just being stubborn prick.
No, I think it's Lycoris. You actually look online. There's like, I there's a whole IPA written for it, like the International Phonetic Alphabet. That's actually written on how you're supposed to pronounce it. But like, I haven't done linguistics in a very long time, and I'm not about to try and pronounce it phonetically correctly. So,
well, guess what? Recoil.
Lycoil.
Lycoil is an anime that is getting a lot of buzz recently, even getting Solid Snake's creator himself, Hideo Kojima, to give its own seal of approval. The fact that they use it on their advertisement is like the weirdest thing to me.
And if you ever need somebody to vouch for your anime, look no further than Kojima himself, right?
Kojima-san, yes. I thought that Lycoil is decent. I think it's pretty good.
It's good. It's not amazing.
It's not amazing,
good.
but
it's a fun
good.
time.
I think it's a bit overhyped, but it is good fun time. Well, guess what? You're gonna have more good fun times because they have announced another anime. Now they weren't very clear as to what this anime entails, but they just said it's a new project. And they have like a photo kind of like introducing everyone like, hey, guess what? We're back. Hey, what's up? So that's all we have to report on it. I'm sure you have already heard of it. And if you're not, well, then wait a couple of more seasons and you'll get it. All right? So that's that. Will.
Yeah. Some IRL news as well that we have to go into. As everyone would know, in terms of like Crunchyroll, before COVID, they would have a lot of annual expos that you can actually, in person go and, check out panel discussions, check out AMAs, like Ask Me Anythings, Q&A sessions, or you can, potentially see trailers and teasers of upcoming projects and upcoming anime adaptations. Well, unfortunately, because, COVID unfortunately still exists, COVID's not going to be able to, not COVID. Crunchyroll is unable to roll forward with CRX or Crunchyroll Expo. So instead, they're going to be moving it over to a more like online, like live streaming format. So yeah, no, that's specifically for the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. But yes, no Crunchyroll Expo again this year.
Well, that kind of sucks. I mean, it really does to have events get canceled, especially one as big as the Crunchyroll Expo. I think they announced a whole bunch of stuff anime related there, is where everyone goes to cosplay and just like meet people. It just really sucks. But I think at the end of the day, if that's the decision, see you guys next year, I guess. Well, not me specifically, but maybe Will. You never know, right? No? No?
I don't know.
Will is just so beaten down.
Is there going to be a day where we're going to be able to attend the Crunchyroll Expo, Jason? Have a little panel for GAP at where do they usually do it? Anaheim, Pasadena, San Jose.
I feel bad because I actually do not know the answer.
So
to that
it's somewhere in
question.
California.
I'm not surprised.
Usually.
Yeah, I mean we could. I mean I think there's like a special hall for content creators and kind of like vendors and stuff, and so we will be relegated to that hall. I don't think we will upgrade to like the big panels.
We'll sell GAP merch.
Yeah, I think.
Get your fluffy Jason body pillows.
Or just hug me, I guess. I don't know.
Free hugs from Jason. Yes,
I'm not that fat, by the way, guys. But yes, I am rather.
Yeah, I've been losing weight, which is
I
amazing.
have been losing weight, but not due to eating better. It's just eating shit
That'll
from work.
So looking into like the other news we have, I want to just move a couple things down because I want to talk about like releases and upcoming stuff first, and then go into like the slightly more like what the fuck, like what is this news, right? So
I don't even know where you're going with this, but okay, let's see.
So as everyone knows, Suzume, or the anime with a lot of doors, has been airing already. But
This is the film by Makoto Shinkai. If you don't know who that person's name is, you'll definitely have heard of Your Name and Weathering with You.
Yeah, so it's been doing gangbusters in Japan, and finally the rest of Asia and the rest of the world in general is finally able to see it. So in Hong Kong, we're going to be able to get the release date of March 2nd, 2023. So should be, 2.5 weeks from this recording. Other Asian locations will follow suit afterwards. I think, like, for example, the Philippines gets it a week after Hong Kong. North America and some European countries are going to be getting a mid-April release. So if you've been dying to watch the Shinkai movie, Suzume, and it looks to be pretty decent. I think it's the third highest ranked of Shinkai's movies, behind Weathering with You and Your Name. But of course, I mean, like, you're not going to beat those two, right?
But it is currently the 17th highest grossing film of all time in Japan, and ranked number 10, the highest grossing anime film of all time in Japan. So it is doing gangbusters.
So
101 million US dollars.
We will probably try and watch it because we do have a recording that comes in like shortly after that release date. So who knows? We're either going to try and watch it before that recording, or if time doesn't allow, then we'll try and watch it and then present our findings a week or two after that.
In case you're wondering, yes, Radwimps is also in on the music. Okay, so all is good, all is fine.
Yep. Also, something that's upcoming soon is Pluto, not the planet, but the good old manga series from yesteryear. It's finally getting an anime adaptation.
You should just read it, Will. This is the manga that is published in English as is by Viz Media under the Viz Media signature imprint. And this was a project that was hella thought was in development hell, or no one mentioned it. Oh no, someone mentioned it like years and years ago. And then it kind of no news, no nothing. Then all of a sudden, last week, Netflix is like, yo, guys, you like Pluto? You forgot about it? Well, here is a 4-minute trailer with no voiceover to give you a sneak peek of the film that is going... No, not the film. The ONA that is going to be produced by Studio M2, releasing exclusively on Netflix for 2023. Yeah.
I know you were like praising it to high heavens when you finished reading it. I know I got to get around to reading it, but there's so much stuff. I mean, dude, like, how many months ago did you tell me to start reading Die Dark and I still haven't read it yet?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right? So I will get round to it. No promises.
So the footage does look really nice. We obviously do not know the quality of the voice actors. I think we do have a minor cast list of several of the main characters. But I would say at least it looks quite nice. It reminds me of Monster. That's essentially the look. The thing is that, and maybe I didn't do my due diligence and did some background research, Studio M2 I've never heard of them. I tried like going on my anime list and checking them out. I'm like, the fuck did they do? And apparently they did nothing.
They've had like 3 productions, but they were incorporated back in April 2016. So over the last 7 years, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of a portfolio that they can show. My suspicion is that they were genuinely working as like a support studio for a lot of major studios when they were doing bigger series, and so then for them to be given the full reign of working on Pluto, it has me cautiously nervous. I mean, I'm coming from like a perspective of never having read the manga, but you have. So I think you're more in the know in terms of like what it might possibly take to be able to finally bring this age-old manga to life.
I just really like the manga. It's going to be very... I'm cautiously optimistic. That's all I'll say. You should just watch the trailer because it's just like 4 minutes of like B-roll. So it will just give you an aesthetic look on how the ONA is going to be presented, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do a complete adaptation because it's just literally like one omnibus. So no, not one omnibus. I think you can collect them in like 2-in-1 omnibuses, which I think is the one I have. Omnibuy. So let's see, because it's kind of hard to not tell a complete story. It's gonna suck if it's like a like a halfway point and then they just never finish it, and then I'm just gonna be pissed, really. Unless if it's really bad, in which case then thank God. But we'll see.
What else is going to be coming out this year? There's going to be another series that you've been reading about that's finally getting an anime adaptation as well.
So
yeah, go ahead, Jason. Take us away.
The Apothecary Diaries is a light novel that I really like a lot. Of course, I didn't give a shit about the light novel. I read the manga instead that was published by Square Enix, and that is published also in English. I think I have 7 volumes of it in English by Square Enix. And they announced a 2023 anime. No, likely in the fall. So it is going to be produced by none other than Toho Animation and OLM. So, big boys.
I mean, they did good work. I mean, you listened to our anime 2022 retrospective. Yeah, Toho and OLM were pretty decent.
I mean, Toho Animation, I think, recently is responsible for a bunch of stuff, but I think Kaiju number 8 takes the cake in terms of the hype train. OLM also doing, essentially, if I remember correctly, Komi Can't Communicate and Summertime Rendering are kind of like the standout ones that we kind of like a lot.
And then Odd Taxi the year before.
Oh, shit, really?
I think Odd Taxi was OLM.
Okay. I think that checks out. Yeah. So OLM and Toho Animation, so people with a lot of money and people that seem to be very good at their animated works.
Specifically, it was Team Yoshioka.
That's
the same team that did that weird gender bender isekai. The old like salaryman that turns into a beautiful blonde girl.
Oh, for fuck's sake! The pupil isekai.
Yeah. And then a fairy turns him into a girl, and then his senpai falls in love with her.
Oh no, that's Fantasy Bishoujo.
Yeah, Bishoujo. Yeah.
So it's not pupil.
Not
isekai.
pupil.
Okay.
Strongest Crest, that one, not that one.
No. That's Fantasy Bishoujo. Strongest Sage with the weakest quest is another anime.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So Fantasy Bishoujo was Team Yoshioka. Us was the same team that did Odd Taxi.
I see. Okay. So the Apothecary Diaries, the thing that I was really surprised by is that this manga and the light novel has existed for forever. So it's one of those things where it's like, I have no idea why they are making an anime adaptation, but at the same time, even I asked for an anime adaptation, even on this podcast, of Apothecary Diaries. And the storyline is extremely simple. Girl likes poison. So she decides to get a job in the Imperial Palace because it's a historical anime where she is like a taste tester for one of the emperor's like wives, and taste testers. So then like they taste the food to make sure that the wives don't get poisoned, essentially. And it becomes like this CSI investigative Imperial Palace kind of drama that is, I think, very, very well done. So I am extremely happy that the anime is getting adapted 2023, so most likely in the fall.
Safe hands with Toho Animation and OLM.
Can we do that for ASAP 3?
I mean, yeah, if the timeline checks out, we should be able to.
Well, yeah. We'll see how it goes, but regardless, I'm very excited for the adaptation, and you will know how we think about it when it airs, probably in the fall, because if it comes out in the summer, it's kind of crazy.
Now we're going to round off the news with some really weird shit. I'm sure if everybody's been looking online, whether it's on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or even just any news media outlets, really, AI is taking over the world. It's been one of the most searched Google terms, and along with AI, as well as with ChatGPT and all that, nobody seems to be able to stop talking about artificial intelligence, and it has started bleeding into the world of media and specifically anime. So, just about a week ago, at least a week ago from as of this recording, there has been a Gizmodo article about how voice actors are they're just done. They're just not happy about how AI has come in and allegedly taken away their jobs. The title literally says, voice actors are having their voices stolen by AI. Now, of course, this is more specifically to voice actors of Western media, but there are a lot of these voice actors and actresses that are actually credited in this article that do lend their voices into English dubs for a lot of animated people have been watching, not in the past, but also just, airing right now too. In general, they feel that it's the main thing is that there's a lot of programs that can now synthesize similarities, even to the point where like even speech patterns can be copied from voice actors and actresses and then be played back and be used in certain series, certain types of media. And voice actors and actresses are just not happy because then it's like, well, contract negotiations are going to be really fucked. If I sign rights to like certain things, but then I don't get to, voice my approval or disapproval of a certain project, but they go ahead and use my voice anyway because I signed the document, then what freedoms do I really have in terms of, keeping my legacy and keeping my career intact?
And furthermore, it can also create kind of new identities all on its own. I mean, a very well-known Vocaloid singer is Hatsune Miku. So there is that kind of potential development that can happen for literally everyone. Then you get the recent kind of controversies with certain fake videos that are very, down the depths of the sea, let's just say. Being a little cryptic here, but we won't get into that because it's just drama that is kind of unrelated to anime and manga.
But it's still like
it's still pertinent. Yeah. I think Will suggested to me that we might want to do a BP on it, and I'm all for it. And I think that's like an interesting
the
topic.
Itself is really deep. I mean, like only just like in the last episode that we talked about how there was a manga series that was completely AI generated.
Did we talk about it, or did I? I think I just included it in the docket, but we ended up not talking about it.
Well, I mean, we can bring it up now then, right? So there was actually, as of January 6th, I think? January 6th, yeah. Shinchosa published an AI-drawn manga.
And I have to say, that manga doesn't look bad at all. Yeah. But anyways.
And then recently on Netflix, there was a series called, I think it was called Dog and Boy. It was by Wit Studio. Yeah.
What?
It's called Dog and Boy. And it was very much watched, but with very, very careful eyes because the anime community just decided to roast the shit out of the series simply because there were a couple of AI generated animations and character creations and all that. But when they credited it, they credited the AI as human. And that was a very like slap in the face kind of thing because people just said, this looks garbage. What the hell is going on here? These AI generated backgrounds. Like I thought, like, what aren't you paying like artists? Aren't you paying animators to be able to create these works? And Netflix, who helped to fund the series, came out and said that labor shortage is the reason why we've been using AI generated anime backgrounds. And that just did not really sit well with a lot of people because, well, clearly, like, it's because you've been firing a bunch of people, but then you then decide, you know what, like, to circumvent that, we are just going to, pay a company to use AI to be able to create the backgrounds for our anime series rather than actually paying or keeping your staff intact. There's just been a lot of controversy regarding the usage of AI. And this is not me being like a hater and saying like, oh, we don't want robots and AI to take over our jobs and whatnot. But it is like a very real subject to talk about because, real world lives are being affected by it. And it's not so much like, if you want to, live with AI, then just learn how to use it and you'll be fine. That's not the argument that's being made here.
So let me read off of this Anime News Network article. Netflix's anime creators base produced a short. Netflix launched the base at its company's Tokyo office in September 2021. But here's the best part. Designers Namiko Ishidate and Saina Kise are staffing the quote-unquote designer's garage area of the new base, meant to help creators develop conceptual art. It's just like all these buzzwords, all this speak. Well, we will probably get into it with a BP. I think it's a very interesting topic because at a certain point it becomes almost philosophical and existential at a certain point. I think that for better or for worse, whether we like it or not, actually, it's inevitable, really. The whole incorporation of technology beyond a certain point. So Skynet, we have you on lock until you have us on lock, is what we're saying.
Yeah. So yeah, we're not gonna get that much more in depth in it because, as Jason mentioned, as we want and intend to, we will be going a bit more in depth on it as a bits and pieces episode in the future.
But stay tuned for the next iteration of the GAP podcast where Jason spelt Jayson and Will spelt Wyll.
You mean Jaison?
All right, we're gonna fucking take our break now. God damn it! No.
Before we go into the break, though, I think we should probably at least sort of, do you want to go into a bit more about like the subject that we're talking about, or do you want to just do everything in one go, take a break? Like,
you wanna like have a preamble before the break about our main discussion topic,
or we can just say we're going to talk about, go to a break, and then actually go into the topic.
Okay, I'll do the latter, which is we will chill for a bit, but before that, today's main discussion topic is about Sword Art Online and Jojo Part 4-1.
Yeah,
because I didn't finish all of it, but that's
by design, though.
Yeah, that has logistical reasons and actual reasons that we will get into. But stay tuned after the break when Will cross swords and I cross into American suburbia
and break some diamonds.
It's unbreakable. It's unbreakable. Welcome back, everybody, to the second half of this episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast, episode number 52. 52 it is, but we are watching all of this stuff because, actually, that's a terrible segue, Will. We're doing Gotta Watch Them All, number 6.
I'm glad that you caught yourself there, okay.
Gotta Watch Them All 6, guys. You guys have known this. This is the sixth time around. You should know, but I'm watching Jojo, but Will is not watching Jojo this time, or
ever actually,
or Monogatari, because Will has embarked on a new journey.
Yes, I am going into the MMORPG, the VR MMORPG realm, because I am watching Sword Art Online, the first season. Much awaited, because I've been waiting 10 years to watch this shit. So
you've been waiting because back then you were like, I'm gonna make a podcast and this is gonna be an ongoing segment. So
I better just wait for the right moment, and this is the moment. Finally get to talk about Sword Art Online, or SAO for short.
All right, so some very quick disclaimers. The thing that we're known for, I'm watching JoJo Part 4, also known as Season 3. Diamond is Unbreakable. Will is watching the first season of Sword Art Online. We will have spoilers and non-spoiler sections. We will not only timestamp it, but we'll have like 3 seconds of looking into each other's eyes and then go into spoilers or non-spoilers. So then you can join us on this journey and listen, basically, into the non-spoiler section and spoiler sections as you wish. All right, Will.
So, so we're going to go into Sword Art Online first. So the regular non-spoiler section, followed by a very, very bombastic, very, very critical spoiler section. And then afterwards, we'll go into JoJo Part 4, Diamonds Unbreakable, or DIU, as I like to call it. DIU. And then
well, we're not going to delay this no more, Will. Yeah. So let's just start, you know what I mean?
So, Sword Art Online.
Only Cantonese speakers will understand that reference.
First started off as a self-published novel series by Riki Kawahara back in 2002 before becoming a full-fledged light novel written by the same author, Riki Kawahara, but illustrated by ABEC, or ABEC, published by ASCII, or ASCII Media Works, and the English publisher being Yen Press. This was back in 2009. It then did spawn the manga series and also, what we're going to be talking about right now, the anime series done by A1 Pictures, airing in July 8th, 2012. More than 10 years since, this recording. So, why did it take me so long to get into watching Sword Art Online? Well, back then I wasn't really watching a whole lot of anime. I was in the middle. No, I was in my junior/senior year of college. Like, really needed to get my grades up and all that, so just didn't really have a whole lot to watch. It was only after I graduated and started working that I managed to actually find some time to chill out and watch stuff. But by then, time had gone by, and other series had started popping up. I wanted to rewatch some of the older stuff that I never got around to watching. Like, for example, rewatching Fullmetal Alchemist, but the Brotherhood version. That took up a lot of time.
Yeah, and rather than watching about a video game, you played a lot of video games instead, right? Exactly, right? So it's fine. I think it's all good. And it is because Will knew from the bottom of his heart, he could foretell that the future led to this very, very moment. So the first thing I would say about Sword Art Online is just its cultural significance. There's something that is just undeniable. Would you agree, Will?
I think a lot of people attribute it to being the birth of the mainstream of the isekai genre,
the modern era.
But again, it's the word isekai here is used very loosely here because it's technically not an isekai. Yes, they are in another world, but it's not like they got transported there, and it's also
you can say
there's no reincarnation either.
They get transported, but they can transport back.
Yeah, so it's like a subcategory of an isekai where they're in a video game world. So I guess that part of the isekai definition does apply,
right?
But more specifically, this is a science fiction action series. No
romance whatsoever.
So, in terms of the theme tags for my anime list,
here we go. Let's go.
They add the love polygon in there, but when you look at the light novel, it doesn't exist on there, and that's something I'm gonna want to go into in more depth during the spoiler section. So hold your breath and wait for me to talk about that.
Oh yeah, and for those who are gonna nitpick, yes, technically there has been plenty of these transport video game isekai type shows, or mangas or video games. Dot Hack is a very well-known one. Star Ocean is a very popular video game series that has these kinds of really meta things. So
Digimon is kinda, but not a video game, but transport to a digital world kind of thing.
They digitalize.
Yeah.
So, look, it's not the first, but it's sort of the one that everyone kind of knows. And when you know it, and it reaches a certain amount of mass appeal, people either love it or hate it.
I mean, mass appeal for sure. I mean, if you just look at my anime list, almost 3 million followers on this SAO page. So, it's definitely left its stamp in history in terms of being a wildly popular anime series.
Popularity number 5 on my anime list. The fuck?
Yeah. Now, the MAL score, it's 7.2, right? 7.2?
Yeah, 7.2, yeah.
Yeah, 7.2 flat, so no other decimal after that.
Yeah, but 2 million...
2.8 mil, yeah. A whole lot of people. That's fucking crazy. And at the same, I understand that, like you said, when things get super, super popular, it can be a bit divisive because you will spawn two camps: the hardcore SAO fans who just love the series and will do anything they can to defend it, and then the other camp, which is the ones who shitpost, the ones who just decide that they do whatever they can to rile up the SAO fans because they have their gripes with the series. I'm going in as a complete newcomer, though there were a lot of things about SAO that I already knew about.
Yeah, it's just through osmosis, right?
Exactly.
And
right?
For me, I have watched the first season, second season, Ordinal Scale, the movie, and that is all I have consumed of Sword Art Online. So usually, at least when it first started, I mean, I'm still on that Jojo train, and Will obviously has consumed pretty much everything Jojo related on this human planet. I have consumed all of the main anime it is the anime adaptation of Bakemonogatari, or the Monogatari series. So at some point, we are going to go off script in the sense that I don't have all the context and know-how that to guide Will along this journey. So it's going to be a bit of both of us trying to figure stuff out as we go.
Yeah. So just to sort of give a quick synopsis, or at least just sort of explaining what the fuck SAO is, it covers, two main arcs, one of which is the Aincrad arc and the Fairy Dance arc. So this is all pulled from the first 4 volumes of the light novel series, along with like a story that comes from one of the later arcs, later volumes. There's a lot of like jumping through time and all that, and there's like variance between like how the story is told in the light novel versus the anime series, because things are a little less chronological in the light novel, to my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, this is not spoilery to say, but recently there's been a series of films called Sword Art Online Progressive, because it is kind of done after the fact, or I think it's like a fan. It was like a kind of a extra thing that was created after the original story arc, because there was a noticeable gap, let's just say, and Progressive fills in that gap essentially.
Yeah. So the story behind that was that Kawahara, the author of the light novel, essentially submitted like the first draft of SAO as part of a competition back in 2002. He submitted in 2001, and then he ended up winning an award for it. But because of the fact that there was like a word limit in terms of what you could submit, he had to speedrun his shit. He just wasn't able to, because the whole story is that, okay, fine. Several players, get enticed into this wonderful new VR MMORPG called Sword Art Online.
Wait, not World of Warcraft Dragonflight?
That's funny. I think it was Mists of Pandaria or Cataclysm that had released that year. And that was at that point when like they were reaching like 12 or 14 million online active users. So yeah, no, MMOs were like fucking like massively popular.
And it took a lot of my time, a lot of great time, but it did take a lot of my time.
The grind was real.
The grind was real.
And they, when you're trying to write a novel about this shit, nobody really wants to read the grind. So the guy just decided, you know what? Like, you have all these players are trapped in this virtual world.
Wait, they're trapped, Will?
Yeah, because the creator of the game decided that, as the adage goes, if you die in the game, you die for real.
Yeah, I love that line. It is quite iconic for real, because I'm not for real. It is an iconic line, and it's kind of mean to death, but that was one of the lines that a lot of people used as like the tagline.
As far as like science fiction goes, it's one of the like go-to lines. Like a lot of media has toyed with this kind of, like dangerous, like death battle game kind of concept. And we can list examples, but I don't think we need to. It's just like y'all already know about this shit. So they have to essentially try and reach the 100th level of the world of Sword Art Online. And, until you manage to get there, nobody can leave the game. In order to be able to play the game, you have to wear these VR headsets. What are they called again?
I actually don't know.
Not
like needle
something.
All I know is that Palmer Lucky really likes it a lot, so we reported on that. Needle drive or something.
Oh man, this is hurting me. I need to think about it.
It's hurting you. Shit.
This is doesn't matter.
Nerve gear.
Nerve gear. Okay, great. Thank you. So you can't disconnect from it. You would just basically be stuck in this virtual world, and unless you
you're supposed to be able to disconnect from it,
but there's a flaw in the game. When people try to log out, for some reason in the logout in the menu, there is no logout button.
Wait, but I'll just grab someone from support, right? I'll file a ticket, right?
No, because you are trapped in this world and you cannot communicate to the real world.
Then a fucking ominous god like shows up in like the foyer of like the main MMO waiting area, and it's like, guys, if you die, you die for real.
And then like the best act of like shithousery was like when all the character avatars go into this huge town listening to this benevolent god explain what the fuck's happening. All of a sudden, their avatars disappear, and the real world character faces actually just show up. So then, basically, if you were, a young strapping lad, or you're a beautiful young woman, you end up turning into a scrawny little boy or a big fat man.
Of who you really are.
Yeah.
And to make matters a bit more complicated, they are also, their body is what's it called, discombobulated. Like they're disconnected, but their living bodies are present in the real world.
Yep.
Which they do address throughout the whole series, and that is kind of different than being transported and then kind of turning into pixels and then going into the game, and disappearing from the real world. So
and it's because that's the level of advancement in the nerve gear, where it essentially scans brain waves. It uses different sensors.
Is your matrix?
Yeah, because in order to enter the game, they actually have to they do a full scan of your body. I think not just the face, right? To essentially take in your character details. I guess it's like a login.
It's like your body type. What's your BMI? You're fat. Oh, you're a warrior.
What's your blood type and shit? It's like, well, that's the thing. They're all warriors, but we'll explain that later on. So there are two central characters in this series. Kirito, the super wonderful. Oh God, I don't want to.
The black cloaked swordsman. So
this is the edgelord of the series.
So this is memed to death and is kind of a very well-known anime trope. And if you are not aware that it stemmed from Sword Art Online, there's no doubt in my mind that you have not come across this trope of a black swordsman, lone wolf. I'm going to wreck shit, but I don't trust anyone, but I kind of do, but I'm still a human being. But in the last moments, whenever all hope is lost, I come in, swoop in, do impossible, OP shit, save the day.
He attains enlightenment. He becomes, he comes out of his shadow, literally, and then becomes a hero. Then the counterpart is Asuna. Asuna Yuki, who is the femme fatale, the strong ass OP motherfucker that goes around and kills shit. But as far as shonen series go, they just decide to do her dirty. So I'll go into that later on. But that's the general premise. You have two master swordsmen in the world of Sword Art Online,
among many other supporting casts and villains and whatnot. But yeah, the main duo are those two characters, Kirito and Asuna, and of course, there is a love story kind of mixed in there, and it's kind of a central theme of kind of the whole Sword Art Online series. And you might be wondering, well, we haven't really talked about the anime besides the synopsis, and I feel that it is very important for Will and I to kind of give you this context, even if you know all this already, to kind of lay it all out, the significance of Sword Art Online.
Yeah, so we really want to go no holds barred, for the general feeling of Sword Art Online. There are a couple things though that we probably can't go into, which is what I was anticipating going into watching SAO, because as I've already said, I knew this was going to be massively popular. I knew that it was also kind of divisive within the anime community, and I kind of just went in there gung ho. I was like, this should be fun.
Yeah.
I know that I've seen the memes. I've seen all the shit posts and all the people talking on subreddits about what the quote-unquote controversies there are. But I kind of just, swept that all to the side because I needed to see this, through my virgin eyes.
So I also feel the need to sort of give a future kind of prediction, not future prediction, but IRL spoiler. So this is not a spoiler of Sword Art Online itself, but kind of the trajectory of it, because I think if you include Sword Art Online Season 1, it kind of does this huge impact in terms of impressions and fervor, and it kind of birthed this huge modern era of video game isekais or isekais of that sort, and then it kind of dipped significantly throughout. I mean, some people would debate that. I think so. Then out of nowhere, it just kind of rekindled its relevance again, I think, with Alicization, which is kind of further into several seasons in. And then the progressive films is I don't know if it's a trilogy, but it's a set of films at least, with one already out, I think.
Yeah.
And that has also garnered a lot of buzz and a lot of praise, which is surprising. And that is kind of the reason why Will and I kind of wanted to tackle this for the next Gotta Watch Them All, because not only is it a kind of historical anime in the grand scheme of anime production and whatnot and cultural relevance, but it kind of did a what do you call it, a comeback tour kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the later releases of SAO, which eventually throughout this Gotta Watch 'Em All series we will get into, it definitely brought back a lot of people onto the franchise. Now throughout this whole decade, right, the last decade of SAO,
holy shit, it has been a fucking, oh my god,
yeah. And it still remains massively popular in Japan. Now, of course, there's still going to be haters. That's going to be natural.
But hate is going to hate.
And I think it was just like the Western audiences that were kind of like wishy-washy with it. But, there was still like a massive amount of people that absolutely loved watching this shit. And I think it's also because, with specifically Progressive, it's, SAO, but it's additional stories that help build the world of SAO, which you may or may not have experienced just from first viewing of the first season. So I think like when you come into watching Progressive, that pretty much like addresses some of the issues that people would have had, where you actually get to see a more fleshed out story. But this is not the episode to hear about it. We're going to be talking about it at a later GWEA.
So, Will, let me tell you right now, I thought that Sword Art Online, because you already have your impressions, right? I basically thought that the first half of Sword Art Online, which is the main game that
the Aincrad arc,
right? I think that story, minus a very noticeable absence of time, I think that's a very easy thing to say. That's not technically a spoiler. But it is still, the first half was fantastic, I thought.
It was good. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was fantastic, but I understand the sentiment. It's definitely like what, when I was watching it, like, yeah, no, this is what made SAO incredibly popular.
And then the second half happened, and I fucking hated it.
Yeah, that to fully understand our disdain, the extent of our hate for it, we got to spoil a lot of shit.
Right, and we will do that, but I ended up giving Sword Art Online the first season a 7.
It's just one of those, like, it could have been like a 9 for the first half, but it was like a lot lower for the second half, and it just kind of negated down to being a 7, right?
When I said it was fantastic, I wouldn't say it ever reached a 9, but it was one of those where, like, I was ready to hate on it, because I even watched it a little bit later when there was all this, like, mainstream hype and mainstream hate against it. And I watched it, and I was like, actually, I don't know what you guys are freaking out about. It's pretty good. And then I was like, oh, okay. Damn it.
Yeah.
Sure. But I'll watch a bit more, and then, well, you know how that ends. So
yeah. Before we go into the spoiler section, though, gotta talk about the openings and endings. Because
oh, shit. We forgot. Fuck.
You can't talk about Sword Art Online without talking about Crossing Field.
By Lisa.
Fuck. Even like not even watching SAO, I knew what the fuck was up with Crossing Field.
I think if you play the first 2 to 3 seconds of that song, there is no way in hell that I will not know that song right away.
It is a fucking good song.
I like it. It's like
I would go so far as to say that it's better than Gurenge. Which is, I know, hot take, controversial, but this is my own opinion. I really, really like Crossing Field.
For those of you who are unaware of the name of that is basically the main theme, OP1 for Demon Slayer. So also sung by Lisa, right?
Yep.
So to be fair, it is like same.
It's the natural progression for her, right? Like, to be fair, she's sang like OPs for a lot of bangers. She's like
Riona and like
Rihanna, yeah.
No, Riona. Is it Riona? Reona, who does a lot of the fade.
Yeah.
Like she has a very iconic voice as well, and I think Lisa is one of those like, she has done a shit ton of super memorable anime openings.
Dude, her first foray into anime openings was for Fate Zero.
Like, the fuck are you gonna do that? Like, off the bat, like,
and then you follow that up with Crossing Field, like, bruh.
And then kind of did a lot of decent stuff in between. Then it's like, yo, guys, you like demons? Guess what? I'm gonna slay this song and just fucking drop hot, like, fire.
No joke and no cap on this either, right? Like, I just literally watched every single second of the first arc of Sword Art Online. I did
The opening, you mean?
including the ending too.
The ending was all right.
I didn't skip anything. It was only in the second half that I started skipping stuff. But
Okay, so let me talk about how I feel about the first half, and then we can maybe talk about your impression of the first half, because it seems like that is
Are we going to the spoiler section now?
No.
Or are we, like, just like light impressions?
Yeah, light impressions. So a lot of the things that I think are relevant in the first half, in terms of the online MMO portion of it, the video game playing aspect of it, you have seen it nonstop. So there's no point really to go over that. The whole overpowered trope, you have seen tons of that. I think Max Defense Isekai is one of those also video games, but it's one of those that's just like this person, main character, is just destroying, wrecking shit. And Kirito, being like a black cloaked lone swordsman, lone wolf type character, really carries that trope to the epitome of it.
He is the embodiment of wish fulfillment. He is a literal Mary Sue,
and to the point where Fantasy Beast Shoujo has a gag character that looks exactly like it and is done completely on purpose. Now, the other thing that I will say is...
now that reference actually makes sense to me now.
Yeah, I know. It's like very reversed backwards for you, but now you get it. The other thing I like a lot is actually the love story. I thought the love story was done very, very well, and it kind of develops to a point at the end of the first half where I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. Like, damn, like I didn't think I'll be really into this, but I kind of digging this whole group of people. I'll just say, I don't want to say the other word because it will spoil things. The other thing I'll say last is that it brought back into perspective, and again, I'm talking about the whole season 1 of kind of what happens when everything is over and when you have to figure out things or get accustomed to things. And I really like the fact that they did not just end it where it could have ended, but they really ride it out, which obviously makes sense because there's like 15 other seasons. But the second half is really shit. But Will, what do you think of the first half?
Oh, it was good.
Entertaining, right?
I definitely enjoyed watching it. As I mentioned, I didn't fast forward. I would literally watch everything at ×1 speed in case any listeners are, doubting me. Didn't hit the skip intro button. Didn't hit the play next episode button. I actually watch everything from beginning to end for the first half.
So, Will, I actually want to ask you before I'm sorry I interrupted you. You have watched a lot of video game-esque isekai shows prior to watching Sword Art Online. For me, obviously, it's the other way around because I watched it way back when. Did it feel boring, the first half? Because it was basically a lot of the same kind of things. You know what I mean? Like,
I think, and this could border into spoiler territory, but I don't really think it is. I'm going to say it anyway. On one hand, I'm pretty happy that they skip a lot of the game mechanics, where they don't fully explain, how characters are supposed to level up or how they're supposed to use items, how they essentially generate powers or, buff up skills and whatnot. So a lot of the in-game, like gameplay mechanics, they kind of brush over. And I completely understand that because, as I said, people don't necessarily want to just spend time watching things and learn how they work. They just want to see it work.
So here's the thing, Will. I don't know if you know if the light novel actually has all of this stuff, and it was more of the A1 Pictures adaptation that decides to skip out on all those details, which, by the way, I still think is a smart move, right?
But that was the business decision. Again, right? You're adapting almost like 4 volumes of a light novel into 25 episodes. There's going to be a lot of stuff you have to cut out, and if it meant that they needed to remove in-game explanations, I think that's a smart business move. I think it's the only thing you can do because you can't cram all the information in 25 minutes per episode.
I also think that we should highlight in the non-spoiler section the sheer effort that A1 Pictures put into this production. And I think that same level of production and competence and abilities are carried out throughout all of the seasons of SAO because, to my knowledge, almost all of the SAO-related properties have been produced by A1 Pictures.
And they all look fantastic.
They look fantastic.
And in this particular context, you have to remember as well, it came out in 2012. and
it
it
still
looked
looks fantastic.
fucking great back then.
There's I think Sword Art Online is very well known, and Will, you would know this, like, as you watch more, is that there's always going to be this fight scene where the camera angle becomes very kinetic, and all these party members would do all these actions one after another, kind of like an MMO, and it just all like synchronizes almost like a dance, and it just gets your blood like.
When you were talking about cameraman, I remember I saw a meme on Instagram about no one is more OP than the cameraman in anime.
100%.
They actually start splicing in an animated cameraman, and it was one specific battle sequence in SAO that they featured. It was actually.
Do you know which one?
It was.
Was it in season 1? Though?
It was in the fairy dance arc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the second half.
The one that I also like a lot is in Ordinal Scale, which I gave
the movie, right?
The movie, which I really didn't like, but the beginning and end was okay.
Yeah. So first, like general impressions, I can understand the hype. I can understand. Well, I mean, the hype that existed like 10 years ago. And I think that anybody who wanted to get into SAO now, like, it's very easy to gravitate towards the scorn that it garnered on Reddit, on Mal, on other forums,
and it's kind of hard not to, right? Especially if you.
It's like, for example, if you're looking at a review for a product, you never care about the stuff. Like, for example, Amazon, you never read the stuff that's rated like 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. You only read stuff that is rated 5 out of 5 and 1 out of 5. You want to know what people love about it and what people absolutely hate about it.
I don't think Sword Art Online in general, overall, as a long-running series, is a bad series. I would say it's a good, not great series. But at the end of the day, I do not know anybody nowadays where they will ever recommend watching Sword Art Online. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, at this point, you have not joined on the train. Obviously, Will has, but I would say the majority of people, Sword Art Online is not like your go-to answer, is essentially what I'm trying to say. You can say Jojo for sure, Bakemonogatari for sure, but Sword Art Online...
which is weird because it's like it has a place in anime history. It's broken a lot of records, which have inevitably been broken themselves by other series. But like, for a 10-year run to garner that much popularity,
and
despite
it ain't
the hate,
over.
It's still ongoing, and it's getting progressively better and better and better.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Will! Oh, no, I dig it though. I dig that fact you said that.
So I think that, like, if you're looking at this and wondering what the hell's going on, like, people are liking SAO, well, start from the beginning and check it out for yourself.
That's what I did. Like, no joke. I think at that point, season 2 or the next GGO first came out.
Yeah, Gun Gale Online.
That was when I was roughly being like, maybe I should just give this a shot.
You liked it enough to give it a score, and a decent score, and a decent score at that, right?
So, second half non-spoiler, Will. Okay, that is Will's non-spoiler review of the second half of Sword Art Online, and funny enough, mine as well. So let's we're not memeing here. Okay. All right, let's just like pause. Moment of silence for like 5 seconds. All right, everyone. Now we have given you a moment of silence. Pay F for respects or whatnot. We are now going into spoilers for Season 1 of Sword Art Online for both, technically, the first and second half. I know that's Season 1, but they're split into different games, essentially.
Yeah, so it's very clear as to, like, where a lot of the hate started coming in.
Okay, let's talk about the good. Can we talk about the good first?
Well, I think, like, because the notes that I had written down and the stuff that's in my head right now isn't necessarily in, like, order, but I'll try to group them all together in, like, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So for me, I think one of the things that stand out the most was I was really captured by the love story. I don't know why, I just somehow was very invested, and there was a very iconic moment in my mind of the first half where Kirito kind of does something, and basically that's when they get together for the first time.
Oh, dude, when he found out that she can cook, that was like...
Well, that's after.
Yeah. But I think, like, I understand your sentiment as well, and I agree, and I think, and this is, like, from my personal opinion as well. A lot of times when we're watching like romance series, or at least like there's like romantic subtext in series,
or elements, for
a
sure.
lot of times it's like prolonged. It's very much like a will they, won't they. Like I chase you, you chase me.
I fucking hate that shit. That's why I always appreciate it when they really go their full course, right? And I'm sure
they just went straight to the point. Like from the beginning, they met each other. They were cold. They were distant, and then all of a sudden, they realized, "Wow, actually, I care a lot about you. You care a lot about me. Why don't we be together?" And they just like went straight into actually developing a strong relationship. And that's the thing I think like people don't. I mean, look, a lot of it like stems from like the comedic or like the it's so cute kind of aspect of like someone chasing after another and then the person being shy and standoffish and then eventually they get together. I find that shit like very overplayed.
Yeah. I can remember the moment that they officially became a couple inside the game and in real life.
Yeah, that was like the thing that bucked the trend too. Like the K word, right? You never say the K word until it's a surefire deal. But straight up, guys like Keiko. Oh, okay, sure, done.
Yeah,
that was it. They
just make out,
and then they have a kid.
Yeah. So here's the other thing about Yui. Yui is the name of the kid, and do you know why? Okay, I don't think this is my speculation, and I've like not checked and verified this. I just thought Yui is combining Kirito and...
I thought Yui was you and I.
Yeah, because when you combine two and then you form, you have a child and then the child just happens to be a pixie fairy, but who don't worry about that, that somehow breaks the AI algorithm, but somehow is like this weird amalgamation of... I don't know, but when you have, like, when you're thinking you're going to have sex and then it becomes this awkward thing and then you end up having sex, I guess, in, like, a log cabin somewhere. It's just like, what the fuck am I watching? But I'm, okay, sure, I kind of dig it.
Yeah, that slice of life section was, like, I actually really liked it. And I think that blends into, like, how well developed the story is in terms of telling the romance between two main characters.
Didn't they say, like, oh, let's fucking just take a break? Okay, let's go to this floor that has, like, a lake.
They
and
go on a sabbatical.
Yeah,
they go on a sabbatical.
I love it.
It's like, you know what? Fuck this game. We're going to go fishing. That's literally what they did. They find a log cabin in the middle of the woods, and then all of a sudden, they go to a fishing competition, and then Asuna gets a text. Oh, shit, we got to go back to work. What? Now? Yeah, we got to cut short our honeymoon.
No, not work, like MMO work, grind, getting back to the grind. Holy shit. So the other thing that I like about the first half is it ends.
I think it ends in a business perspective as well, where it's
very
like,
anticlimactic, but it ends.
If for any reason SAO didn't get a second season, then perfect. It ended the way it needed to, and then you can just watch it all in one full loop. That's it. Of course, then you see, many years later that there are subsequent sequels and movies, but I think the way that it ended, I have my own gripes with that too, but it ended the way it needed to end.
Right. I also think that one of the things that I liked a lot about the show was, funny enough, just some of the side characters are just really nice. Shout outs to that samurai red armored dude. I forgot his name.
Klein.
Isn't there also a big kind of burly blacksmith black guy that's like the bar owner or something?
Yeah.
So he's like all the supporting characters except for, let's say, a family member of the black swordsman Kirito. I'm very iffy on, and I'm still iffy on.
That ventures into the bad.
Yeah, and she is kind of involved in the second season, so it's just okay, sure. Yeah.
Other things that were good about it, I mean, we've talked about A1 Pictures. The animation quality is mwah.
So that battle scene where they were like in a dungeon, I think, and it's like all blue, and then that was kind of like the first kind of crazy fight scene that was choreographed really, really well, and panoramic videos and like someone running and all of a sudden like what is technically a couple of meters ends up becoming like 50 meters because they run real fast, real hard.
It was solid.
I
have to say that like the fight sequences, the animation were all done like it's A1.
Yeah. And from what my friend who has watched Alicization and the Underworld, which is also I guess part of Alicization, those battles become more intricate and more more of them, essentially. So if that's the way it goes, and Will confirms it, it just sounds like a jolly good time. All right. Will, now let's get into the spoilers for the non-good stuff.
Yeah, the not so good, not so great. Kirito is boring as fuck, dude.
He's fucking useless.
Kirito is like listed on the can, crustless white bread, cookie cutter, like boring ass. Like there's nothing to this to him as well.
And to be fair, a lot of people, devil's advocate, would say, oh, because you are supposed to like insert yourself into that wish fulfillment male fantasy. And by the way, I really do agree with that.
Yeah,
but still,
yeah.
It's undeniable the character is fucking boring. It's like any other harem bullshit. It's like your gravity well, you're attracting,
harem, right? Yeah,
you're attracting fucking everything. It's just so dumb, and it really the hype and the kind of momentum that the first half did with and then the second half with the elf, it was just so dragged on. I felt so bored, and then towards the end of season 1, when they finally leave and get integrated in the real world, that whole like, oh, I just woke up and I'm like really weak, and then I have to not get stabbed or stab someone. It's just like very melodramatic to the point where I was just so done with it.
Like I get that, especially with certain parts of the first season, right? Both in the first half and the second half of season 1, Kirito like encounters situations where he's faced with death, not for himself but his party. Specifically, like, there was that one where they were raiding a dungeon, and then one of the thieves, like in this party, rushes towards a chest, and then he thinks about it. It's like, oh no, that's a trap, and all of a sudden the room transforms, and then his whole team gets slaughtered. And yeah, that was the only time where he started like feeling remorse for his actions and actually kind of grew as a human. But even then, it just felt so like banal and dry. Like it was hard to connect with Kirito throughout the series, and it's not the fault of Kirito himself. It's just the fact that like he is meant to be that archetypal solo player, does not trust anybody, does not want to wrong anybody, and therefore he goes things alone. But at least add an ounce of character.
And the thing that I seem to remember, which I have not, I have not rewatched Sword Art Online, but people die by Kirito's hands, and I'm just like, dude, like, they dead, right? Like, you just murdered them, right? Like, not like, oh, I murdered them and then they respawn at like a shrine somewhere. No, they dead. And sure, some people, I guess, some villains might deserve it more than others, but some are just like there. And when you think about the real life ramifications of that when the game is over and runs its course, it's just like, what the fuck?
That's the other thing I wanted to talk about, which was, how the hell did they all of a sudden decide to start up a second version of the Nerve Gear and create a brand new, safer version?
Hey, it's okay, bro. It's safe.
But
we learned our lesson the first time.
In the first week, 2,000 players died, which meant that 2,000 real-life people in the game died. Yet it seemed like when they were done with the game, everybody took off their Nerve Gears. That was it. No one really cared. People were just happy the people could leave the game.
Look, I understand this is like a light novel, and you are meant to treat this as fictional, which obviously it is. But here's the thing, guys. In any sort of more realistic, grounded setting, if that kind of scandal or that kind of instance would be recalled, you would be trialed. There would be laws that would be in place. The people that created Nerve Gear will all be sentenced to death, or they cannot touch technology ever again. Like, how is it possible that, oh yeah, bro, we felt that the first time that was our bad, but we good this time. We patched it up. Listen, Oculus, like, no, don't worry. Like, we good. And I'm just like, the fuck is this?
It was definitely like a massive oversight, but I understand this is a work of fiction.
And as you have to carry on the story to have multiple arcs and multiple games, I get that, but there's just that, like, just make it a little bit more believable, please.
Yeah. Speaking of believable, why was it necessary to have such a fat harem like a pseudo harem.
No,
for
but you see,
Kirito?
Will, he did not know. Kirito did not know that he and her sister were
I'm not even talking about her yet. That one's much later on, right? All the other characters.
Wasn't there like a lolly girl?
There was a lolly girl. There was the girl that was in her party and ends up dying because, again, this
like
is
earlier on, right?
It's a very sensitive one, to be fair, because in the game itself, like she mentioned that like she got tired of it. She didn't want to carry on anymore.
Yeah.
And she wanted to, commit suicide. There's a lot of trigger warnings in this series that actually touch like very, very sensitive topics. Unfortunately, she dies in the game. So there's that, and then there's another girl who is like a master blacksmith that also falls for him, but then finds out that Asuna.
Oh, I do remember that girl.
Yeah, and they had that little side quest where they get trapped in a cave, and then like she kind of like basically falls head over heels for him, but then sees that Asuna comes in, and then she's like, "Oh, I guess that's what I'm up against." And she like says, "Ah, that's cool. What do you think I am, baka?" Ha ha ha, and then walks away, and then goes to the back of her store and just cries. Yeah, the thing is, none of that shit apparently happens in the novel. The novel is very much focused on nurturing the deep-rooted relation and love that Kirito and Asuna have for each other.
Which, by the way, is one of the best parts of Sword Art Online as a whole.
And they soil it with
all this random
unnecessary harem-esque characters. And then speaking of characters, I don't care about any of the other characters. There's no backstory. There's no development. Everybody seems.
Oh no! You just have to click on them and then read character info and then read the wall of text.
But
right?
a lot of the text comes from subsequent seasons. It's not shown in the first half. It's not shown in the first season. So
you won't see the others too.
Yeah, Klein. Like that's it. He literally is just. I mean, dude,
he's the best buddy. That's it.
He's the best buddy, but it's also like. Screen time is like literally like 2 minutes.
Who's the bartender guy? What's his name?
I forgot, but I know who you're talking about. He's a clutch character too, but again, not much is talked about him.
Oh, he's just like the old sage, like the adult of the group that is just like, yeah, you can talk to me about your troubles. Everything is good, guys. Like, yeah. Like, oh, hey, now that the game is over, let's all meet up at my bar. Let's all meet up. Hey, what's up? So, look, we haven't even talked about the fairy game itself, which is just fucking dumb. Honestly, it's dumb. I just don't like a lot of shit that happens. The whole misunderstanding of the pseudo incest thing.
Egidu is the black blacksmith.
Okay, he's solid. The whole like religion night order thing in the first game, first arc, whatever that Asuna is part of, and then have it be corrupted, and then turns out he's not corrupted. He is the character. He is the creator. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just like...
Also, when Kayaba, there's the guy who created the nerve gear in the game, when he finished the game, the first one, Aincrad, and then the Kirito meets him, and it's like, so why did you have it so that people would die in the game? And the guy just goes, I don't know.
I felt like it. Oh, yeah, because it was like that sunset, like infinite distance, like infinite pool.
As the game was slowly being deleted and all that.
Like fragmented. Yeah, pixel. Okay, look. But... we ain't coming here in the spoiler section to give you all that, actually. You know what? Let's scratch that. Do you like tentacle porn? Do you like it, Will? Do you like it? Because guess what, Will?
We're venturing into the ugly now, right?
Even if you do not like it, you're going to see it time and fucking time again. You're going to see it happen time and time again. And every time you're going to watch it and be like... it's kind of sus. And even if you're into it, which is fine, there are plenty of other avenues to seek what you're actually looking for than what you are actually witnessing in front of you.
Yeah, the level of sexual violence in the series is, like, crazy. I mean, like, when I first started reading those, like, controversy posts, I was like, y'all out of your mind, right? Like, this is SAO.
Hey, how about I keep you in a cage and,
whilst in real life you're in comatose, you're still stuck in the game. So why don't I just fill you up and all that? Like that, God, that I understand they're trying to build a disgusting villain, but that's not the way to do it.
And to me, right, that villain in the second half, right. I am obviously against that level of conduct and that act. If you could even forgive me for saying this, it feels lazy writing. because obviously it is something deplorable. Obviously, you should never do that to another human being ever, unless if it's with consent. But like the point is, like, just write better.
And that, I mean, to be fair, Kawahara, the writer, like ends up coming out and saying, like, at some point in the past that yeah, he wasn't the best writer for those particular sequences, and he ends up actually making it better later on. But you know, we're talking about this specific iteration, this specific season. It was fucking terrible. Like, you can't write that in as a plot to create a villain. It just perpetuates just the vulnerability of women and how they're treated, especially in media.
Yeah, and it's not to say that, oh, hey, devil's advocate, but guys get assaulted too. The point is, it is lazy writing. It is an easy way to just sort of tell the viewer, be like, yo, this guy bad. This guy real bad. This guy break laws and shit. And I'm just like, guy, can't you just make him more evil in another way? It's so lazy. All right,
But
let's talk about...
we're at limit, I suppose, right?
Let's talk about Shino, yeah?
I actually want to talk about one more thing before we go into
Sure.
Do you remember that part? I think it was where they're fighting the boss for one of the specific levels, and like the players band together, and they had a so-called leader that went in and ends up like getting seriously hurt, and his health is slowly depleting. And Kirito saves the day and walks over to him and hands him a health potion.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And drink it so you don't die. Why won't you drink the potion? Drink the goddamn potion. Fucking drink the potion, and he dies. Why? That didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I had no like the character itself.
No. It's simple, Will. Because in his moment of glory, he failed, and then to have it being run over by Kirito, and then to receive a helping hand when you're about to die, apparently for real, and it is for real in the lore of things, only to have your pride get in the way and being like, fuck you. Because it's poison, right? That was what it was? Like poison or something? I don't know, something. It was just like, I don't fucking know, Sword Art Online. Like, sure, I guess. Like, I'm just going to turn off that episode and continue on my day, but the fuck is that? What is that supposed to mean? And this is what I also don't like about Sword Art Online is, and to my knowledge, less of that is present, especially with Alicization, is just the sheer, like, let's bring this issue up, but only reference it ever so slightly, and then pretended it never happened. Which, with numerous, tendencies that certain characters have, their downfall or their resolution, and other characters just, there is technically a lot of dark themes that show up. Doesn't need to show up, but you can show it, but then it just doesn't get expanded upon. They sweep it under the rug and be like, oh yeah, by the way, we're edgy as fuck. These shit happens, but don't worry about that. We're going to mention it ever so slightly.
Yeah. The game itself is so like psychologically like wary on everyone's psyche that when you just kind of brush over it, it feels like you said, just bad writing.
Yeah. And when they get reintegrated back into society, when they all wake up, how do I say this? They talk about how hard is it to readjust, and I lose grades in school because like I was out, playing the game, or like they have like a certain term for these people that were dived in or dove in or whatever, and then it's just like you could touch upon that. It could be a very serious and interesting topic that has huge ramifications, especially nowadays, and even then with World of Warcraft being a lot of a lot of topic of debate and a lot of concern for a lot of people. Like, why mention that if there's almost like all of the touchy subjects, sensitive subjects, I think our subjects are worth diving into. They just choose not to, but they also choose to mention it, so they have their cake and eat it too. And I'm just like, the fuck, man. I still gave it a 7. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Inuyashiki
syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the fat ass.
Which fat ass?
Suga?
Shino? Oh, I thought you said Shino. Because Shino's not in part 1.
No. Oh, Shino is in part 2.
2. Yeah.
She does. They show that. Okay.
We'll talk about that in the next episode.
Let's talk about the sister.
Sugaha. Or Lifa.
I thought I got it mixed up. Okay, go on.
This is venturing into the ugly.
Wait, I thought we were already in the ugly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the drink the potion one was more of a bad, but like it was just like
dumb.
Yeah. This, on the other hand, though, look, I don't know who started it, and I don't know why it remains popular to this day. It's not even down to sort of online. There's the fact that this weird little tag still runs around, but can we please stop it with the incest focest?
Okay. Unfortunately, it will not stop.
It won't.
You know it won't. But yeah. The whole blood related or not, it's like a whole thing. Or like even the gender bending kind of theme of like, she is now
it's like
a guy, so I kind of dig this. I dig her, who is now a he. And then it's like
the whole like Sugaha Kirito relationship. It's like, she is his adoptive sister, so therefore for her it's like, these feelings of love for him are forbidden. I can't act upon it. Oh, actually, you're not adopted. You are adopted, but you're actually his cousin. Oh, thank God, I'm his cousin. I can love him now.
Yeah, it's 1 degree off. I'm just like, bro, dude, like, just.
And why they gotta make her titties so big? Why they gotta like overly sexualize this potential love interest, which is edging into like
Shino.
Sugaha.
No. As in you'll get that, but not the boobs.
Oh, okay. God, I couldn't get into it. It was just. I know it's supposed to be like, the ones you love are the ones you never get, that kind of subtext. I get that, but like, why
you always want what you can't have type subtext. But let me just say though, if I had a little pixie avatar as like my pseudo daughter, not a bad idea.
Yui is actually quite cool, except that she gets kind of annoying in the art dance.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like she just shows up like super fucking powerful, destroys like a final boss on one of the levels.
It's like, oh yeah, by the way, what's up, Dad? And you're just like, what? Yeah. Like not like, oh wow, surprise. Yeah. Like and then feeling like it's great. It's just like, wait, isn't that from the last? Wait, how? And then they explain it away.
Yeah. It just felt like it was such a wasted opportunity to build upon her character rather than like Navi from Zelda.
Of course,
she becomes that.
Hey,
yeah,
hey,
Link, hey.
Let me just hide in your pocket some more and give you like details on like
she's just a fucking like
she's an info dump machine.
Yeah, she's just a map. That's all she is.
Such a wasted opportunity.
And it's, I guess, in a way, of course, there are more seasons to come. But I kind of felt like that with Asuna as well. And how, like, she just was, like, fucking OP. OP in the sense that it wasn't like, oh, she's the main character, so plot armor and all that.
No, but she was legit powerful.
And then all of a sudden, she, because, like...
damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Locked in a cage,
and she
being
only
felt up,
and like she only really reaches her full potential because of her love for Kirito. And I see a lot of the complaints for it where it's like she's only really powerful because in the name of a love interest, where it's like women need love and to be loved to be able to ascend to a superpower level and show their relevance to the main plot, which, okay, fine. Like, it may be a bit of a stretch there.
Yeah, and maybe it is, but a lot of people have had and made this argument before. And you cannot deny kind of this viewpoint that so many people have, that I think it's not being overly sensitive or, being, like, extra triggered. I just think it is something that when you watch it, it is plain as day.
And why so many complaints about like the treatment of female characters in anime like stem from, right?
No, but Will, it's like a meta commentary on the state of things in this very moment, with that would just
era. That would just be lazy, right?
It is. So at the end of the day, Will, what are your kind of? Do you have anything else you want to add in terms of like main talking points?
I think the main big ugly is the complete 180 from Aincrad to Fairy Dance,
100%.
which I don't think like we can touch upon enough. But holy fuck, was that a terrible arc?
It was
Holy
horrendous.
Shit. One of the complaints I had, I guess it was a soft complaint, was in terms of the world of SAO that everyone is just like a fighter / warrior class. Like nobody really had a shield, or like maybe one or two did. There was no magic. There was no healing. There's no support.
Well, no, we do, Will. It was in the
Sure,
the elf.
Alpha Online.
Yeah, we have to.
So that's where like I was thinking like in the first half of Aincrad, like there's like no like class system. There's no ways of like actually forming like responsibilities within like a raid or within like an instance and stuff like that. I know I'm using a fair amount of like World of Warcraft theme.
Or things. MMO. Yeah.
But like
Sword Art Online's an MMO, guys.
Yeah. In case you didn't realize, right? And so then like I was like, oh, fine, cool. They actually have magic in the second half now. Wow, they did not do any justice to having a magic system in this game. All they did was, oh, this is SAO, but with fairy pixie ears and flying.
They can fly. Yeah, there you go. There you go. They have a flying mount now attached to the back of their bodies.
Yeah, they have some sort of magical like flying remote shoved up their ass, and that's how they. Yeah, you have to feel it, and then you have to twist it, and then you have to pull it, and then
you have to bop it, right?
Yeah.
So really, like, ugh. But Will, now that you have seen all of season 1, before we get to your summary thoughts and final score, what do you think season 2 will entail?
Yeah, so I already looked ahead and saw the MAL score for it, and it is atrocious. Again, a high 6 is not by any means a terrible score, but when you're talking about one of the most popular series in the world, a 6.7 is awful. And so I'm very, very cautious about what to expect with this second season.
Man, I just remember like the first couple of episodes of season 2. It was so... Look, it's not... Okay, I will just say this, Will, to kind of like prep you a bit. More of the same, but a bit more of the different as well.
So it's same shit but worse.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
There is some good moments for sure. I can't deny that, but there will be I just know the way that you are and the things that you're into. There will be a fight sequence in season 2 where you will just lose your mind, but not in a positive way. In like, let me pause the screen, throw the computer out the window and down into the streets, and decide to just eat a burrito instead.
I would love a burrito right now, actually. But yeah, like I think like just to sort of summarize like my overall feelings of season 1, generally I liked it. I understand why people were so like hyped about the series, why people don't like the series, and in some extreme cases absolutely want nothing to do with SAO. But I'm here for it. I think that overall I would give it the same as you, a 7.
I think that is the most kind of fair score in general.
Yeah, it's in the sense that it's not a mid show. It is a good show, but it just has a lot of holes in it that lead to criticism and at worst controversy.
I think, in my opinion, Sword Art Online is the definition of a mid show. Maybe that's a hot take. I really do think that, as in, there's very good things, very bad things. Production
it's
is good.
The most popular mid show.
And most popular, has cemented itself in the legacy of anime. But man, is it one of those shows that I just know about, care some about. But it's
like you would want to see it succeed, right? Like
I think it has in the like if we go on later on in the future with the other seasons, yeah.
It's just that it could have so easily like gone off the rails, and I kind of feel that's the case with season 2.
Well, you're gonna have to watch season 2, and listeners, you're gonna have to listen to hear what Will has to say about season 2.
So that wraps up Sword Art Online Season 1. Check into the next GWEA, which is number 7, for our thoughts on Season 2 of SAO. Now,
Man, we have gone a lot. I mean, I expected that because I
Yeah.
think Sword Art Online is one of those shows that really invoke a lot of conversation, for better or for worse, right?
to be fair, I also do think that with JoJo Part 4, Diamonds Unbreakable, there's going to be quite a lot of things that not just you, but I have to say about it as well. So I think we put the cap on SAO and we go over to JoJo now.
All right, so non-spoiler section for JoJo, but a bit of background information. JoJo Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. Technically Season 3 of the anime, because I said this to Will earlier.
It's confusing.
It's confusing because the first 2 JoJo parts is technically Season 1 of the anime adaptation, but Part 4, based on the manga of the same name by Hirohiko Araki, serialized from April 21st, 1992, November 21st, 1995 on Shonen Weekly Jump. 18 volumes, 174 chapters, available on Viz Media. Current mouse score of 8.50, ranked 127, popularity 131, 1 million members. And the mouse score for the manga is 8.57, ranked 91, and popularity 127, 94,000 members. So, non-spoiler impressions of JoJo Part 4. Will, do you have any questions for me first before I kind of go into it, or do you want to hear what I have to say first?
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask you. This is definitely a hot take. You didn't like the OP for season for Part 4?
I thought it was shit.
What?
I thought both of them were just so mid OPs.
Oh my god, they were funky. They were fun. They were cool. It was very bombastic. Very different from the previous
I
ones.
fucking didn't like it. It just did not have the same gravitas in terms of like just gusto that all the previous OPs have.
I think it's just.
It's just not wild enough.
It's a very different style to like. I mean, artistically as well, right? Compared to the first 3 parts. I don't know. I very much enjoyed the OP for JoJo Part 4.
I think if you take out the OP
yeah.
of JoJo Part 4 and insert it into any anime, I would say that the argument can stand that I buy it. But if you were to extract the JoJo OPs from the first 3 parts, or the first 3 parts, and reintegrated it back in to any other anime, it just doesn't sound right.
Well, I think for me, it's because the music fits the vibe of the setting of Mario, of the story in Diamonds Unbreakable. That's how I would connect it. Whether or not that changes your mind, that's up to you. I mean, hot take for sure, but a take that you're well within your right to make.
I also think that, I think, Will, you have told me that Diamond Unbreakable is kind of a very different shift in a lot a ways. Is that
not kind of a very? It is an immensely different shift.
So the first thing is Morio is basically a very different type of.
It's suburban America.
It's suburban America, and not only that, we have jumped ahead in time. I won't say which time period, which I'll say in the spoilers, but it is very much of that suburbia of everything seems to be hunky-dory, all great, but something ain't right, that kind of feel. So I really like that. I love the setting, actually. It is obviously almost a polar opposite of a grand, like, around the world in 50 days, right? 50 days, right, for JoJo Part 3, right?
Yeah.
So it was 50 days around the world there. But here is just like one location. And it's kind of like, when you think about it, there is only so much you can do in one location.
I think like Part 1, right? They're moving from one place to another.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Part 2, they're moving from one place to another. Part 3, there are a lot of people moving a lot of places all over. This one is very much set in the town of Morio, and that will be the setting for the rest of the series.
Yeah. So before we kind of go on
the rest
any
of
further,
Part 4, I mean, not the whole series.
Right. I've only watched up to essentially half of Part 4, and by half, I'm also including Rohan Kishibe because
you watched the shorts.
No. I will watch it as part of like the second half. So that's what I intend to do. So really the first half is like, for me at least, I got to like episode, I think 17 or 18, the Ghost Girl one. It's kind of a one-off rather than like a part 1, part 2. So that's where I ended. Before that, though, is all the stuff that I have finished. And I also want to talk about the censorship, because one of the things that I thought that was very different in part 4 is shock value. Like right away, just violence and just like, oh, this person is so bad. He did X, Y, and Z. And when this happened, this, and that. And it was just really more, it felt more gross than other JoJo parts, even though I would argue, so far at least, other JoJo parts are equally just as bloody and gross. This one just felt more disturbing. How about that?
Yeah, there's a reason for it, and we can talk about that in the spoiler section.
I also think that the episode structures, the ones I've seen, okay, don't ding me for this, is episodic comparatively to an overarching kind of journey. Like, for example, in JoJo Part 3, it is split into like Part 1, Part 2 of this villain or that villain, but there was kind of an overarching goal. I mean, there is still kind of a goal here.
Every episode is a prelude to the next episode, whereas with, at least for what you're watching so far with Part 4, it is all well contained in itself. Each episode plays as its own story. You move to another story afterwards. There might be ones that are like 2 episodes long. You kind of see that with other anime series, especially like shonen series, where a lot of stuff are like you see with Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, whatever, where like it's self-contained, and then you move on to the next story. It is a very, that would be like a big noticeable change compared to what you've seen in the previous iterations of JoJo.
Yeah, it's like one of the most recent episodes I saw involves a rat, let's just say.
Yep.
And
that was a cool ass rat.
The beginning of that episode is like as if like nothing previously or afterwards has happened. Is like you can insert this episode standalone anywhere in the timeline to a certain degree, and it would make complete sense. It was like, oh yeah, this guy went off to do this side quest. Obviously, they tied into the story, and there's a very specific time in which they kind of did the storyline that involves the rat. But it's just kind of like, oh, whoa, okay, it's very different. And then all of a sudden, you're like, do you like alleyways, guys? Oh, we're gonna handle that. And then,
do you like water?
Do you like water? That's another thing. Do you like invisibility? That's another thing. And
do you like motorcycles?
Yeah. Look, it's everyone. When we say those things, it will make complete sense because you remember those moments.
But it's very clear that as far as the name JoJo's Bizarre Adventure goes, the first 3 parts are emphasizing a bit more on the adventure side, whereas this is just purely bizarre.
Yeah, I think so as well. I really do think so. That really does encapsulate how it is. I also think the main character, Josuke, kind of mid as fuck.
Hot take. You know, Araki said that this is his favorite JoJo.
Well, I'm sorry, Araki. It's not my favorite JoJo.
Why? Why don't you like him? Is it because of his hamburger patty hair?
No. I just don't think there's anything much there.
Because he's a wide-eyed teenager who only just found out about, how the real world works. It's that blasé, empty canvas main character that, slowly grows to become, one of the, in my opinion, the better JoJos.
Now, I would say, though, Koichi, the short midget.
Kiyoshi Hirose, yeah.
He is, of kind of like the main gang, my MVP so far. I really like his sort of contribution, I guess, to not only the storyline but to the gang. Okuyasu, I think, is not that interesting whatsoever. There is also one other or several other main characters that show up quite a bit, but I feel the need to not say them because it could be kind of spoilery, especially if you're joining us on this journey and watching JoJo for the first time. But if you watch any promotional material, you'll know. But I still feel the need to kind of not talk about it.
Well, there's a lot to unpack, so should we just go straight into the spoiler section?
Let me just say one thing before we get into spoiler section, though, Will. Rohan Kishibe, though, is probably, as it is right now, my favorite character of the entire JoJo Gotta Watch Them All series.
Yeah, you gotta love the guy. You gotta love Araki because
Yeah.
he is because
Oh, fucking, I will get into
Yeah.
that. Holy shit, I will get into that for spoilers. But, all right, so,
spoilers in 5.
yeah. Overall, it is my favorite JoJo by far. That's it. I don't know if that's a hot take.
Despite the things you said so far, but because it wasn't so much that you had like harsh criticisms of it, but it's clearly like in one sense nitpicky, but it's also like careful observation of your experience of watching JoJo over the span of 4 parts.
I mean, when they show like as like a title, like a like a break card, like like in between like sections. Oh, hey, come to this Morio City and look at this tourist site. I just like stood up and clapped at some of that. I was just like, yeah, dog. Oh, that narrator started speaking. Hell yeah, you're back. Oh yeah. And I was just like, I'm just digging it. I'm like not only fully committed, but it is just one of the fights that involve, let's say, a house on a cliff. I think is very much one of the best fights. And then the one right after that involves another house that involves Rohan is one of the best fights just fucking ever. Like, for real. Like, better than the Gambling Brothers.
Have you got to the part yet?
No.
Okay.
But what I will say, Will just gave me some signs and signals, so
You'll find out soon.
I'll find out soon. But also, there is a very well-known yandere that is supposed to show up. Obviously, she does show up. I fucking love her. Okay? I think she is like the best. I know that she has more presence because when the opening changes, you could see that she's more involved and there are like more characters involved. Also, I feel really, really bad that we did our AD11 at the time that we did, because I think Josuke's mom would probably deserve an honorable mention of sorts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did it, but I still chose to give it to, Lisa instead.
But still, I mean,
Yeah.
I would say Lisa like is better than her, but Josuke's mom. But man, that's a
Honorable mention
solid.
for sure.
Josuke's mom's solid. Okay, so
Quick question. Now that you talked about the yandere in part 4, if we were to redo your top 10 yanderes,
100%, 100%. Maybe like number. I think my opinion might increase after I finish part 4, but as it stands, it has already made such an impression that I think it's like maybe 8 or 7, but it has the potential to even break.
So it's definitely cracked top 10.
100%. There's no way I would not include her on the list. I just really like that character.
Yeah, no, good.
And just the sheer psychoness.
Yeah. This is yandere done well.
Yandere done very well. I feel like I should have known this all along, but to see it unfold is just great, and to apparently see more of it unfold is just fantastic. So,
well, the listeners can't see this, but I can see the excitement that's festering in Jason's face. So we are going to take a quick 5-second silence, and then we're going to go into the spoiler section of JoJo Diamonds Unbreakable.
First part, technically.
Up
right?
to the midway-ish point.
Kinda, yeah, okay.
5 seconds now.
All right, so if you're listening now, we're into the spoiler section of essentially the first half of JoJo Part 4. Just to let you guys know, my intentions is to finish the rest of Part 4 and Rohan Kishibe in one go for the next Gotta Watch Them All. So, Will, let me just fucking say this now. Joseph Joestar, from what I've seen, is fucking useless, and it's not even funny, not even great. It's just he could have been more of a presence.
It was more like gag, for sure.
But it wasn't. It was a waste of time, in my opinion.
And I understand like that criticism, especially when it comes to like the episodic-ish format of what you've watched so far in JoJo Part 4. And to be fair, some of the stories are fucking great. That one was not my favorite.
Yeah, but that was like a long one.
It reduced Joseph to just dementia-riddled fucking like liability, and it wasn't fun.
I also really don't like Josuke. So can we talk about him first?
Yeah, go on. Why don't you like Josuke?
So here's the thing. First of all, Crazy Diamond is pretty dope. I have to admit that. And the shock value of let me hurt you to kind of heal you or like alter the state of things is kind of cool.
Oh, I can't wait for you to watch Bungo Stray Dogs then.
Except like fucking doesn't do jack shit with it other than the super obvious crap. Okay, he messes his fawn like hairdo, and then he goes ape shit. Like, okay, I know that's that's what triggers him. I find. I also understand the reason why he cares about that hairdo a lot, I guess. And that actually was one of like the more awesome moments of Josuke, in my opinion. I think his personality and character portrayal is actually fine. There's nothing necessarily I would say that is very wrong or like bad writing. But the problem is when you compare it to all the other JoJos.
So
the fact
Jonathan, Joseph, Jotaro.
The fact that Jotaro, with his more limited presence in what I've seen, still is like, dog is dope as fuck.
Now, I do have to remind you as well, though, that when you were watching the first half of Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, that you were not the biggest fan of Jotaro Kujo.
Yeah.
To start off. So I am wondering if perhaps your perception of Josuke Higashida is just limited to what you've seen so far.
Very much.
And then potentially you might warm up to him later on.
Listen, I think one of the things that I like about these Gotta Watch Them Alls and the fact that we don't watch it all in one go because we don't want to drive ourselves insane with the amount of stuff that we need to watch is that there is kind of like this stopgap, so then we can kind of discuss the progression and the journey, right? Fully admit that the Josuke can flip 180 degrees, just like Jotaro. I wouldn't say the Jotaro thing is 180 degrees, but it is more like it went from just like, I don't understand why everyone gives a shit about Jotaro, to now being like Jotaro's a total G, but he's not like god tier status G. He's a gangsta G. You know what I'm saying?
So who's your favorite JoJo so far then? Jonathan, Joseph.
I would say Joseph.
Okay, yeah.
I would say Joseph, Jotaro, Jonathan.
I think I just like Joseph because he has the chariot battle in part 2.
Plus, he's just dumb, goofy, and it's completely wasted in part 4.
Yeah, I think but that kind of character archetype is meant to be played by Josuke. Sort of like aloof, dumb, like don't forget. I understand, of course, that like Jotaro plays a delinquent high schooler in part 3, and then you have a high schooler as well in Josuke, but they're two different people. Okay. Not to mention as well, there's a reason why there's like a not as good depiction of Joseph for in part 4. It's because he abandoned his mom, dude.
Yeah, and that was the thing that kind of threw me off a bit too, because it obviously happened off screen or off, like, not. It was obviously mentioned, but it was never. We never actually see it go down.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense to me why. I mean, there could be an infinite amount of possibilities. Yes, of course, right? People can change. People make mistakes. But to not know when it is that monumental of a thing because, hey, you have an illegitimate son, and you haven't met your dad until then, and then you kind of do this whole thing about buying babies clothes. It's just like, what?
Yeah, that whole episode with the invisible baby and Joseph Joestar, it just felt very like buddy comedy, but not done well.
Oh, yo, I am so edgy and hardcore. I slit my wrist in a lake to fucking find a baby. I'm just like, I mean, yeah, that's one way to do it, but is that the way to do it? That is a way to do it. It
is the bizarre way to do it.
And yeah, and I think that really does encapsulate the bizarreness of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I really do like the setting of the 1990s.
It's fucking great.
I love the Simpsons, like, kind of suburbia.
Well, imagine this. You've watched a lot of those, like, true crime murder mystery documentaries,
It's like
right?
Stranger Things in that, like, it all takes place within a town. and it has like a murder mystery.
Yeah, something's not right about this.
Something
town.
is not right. You just arrived or something like that. I just love that, the fact that sure you can like travel around the world and have it be like this awesome, wondrous adventure, but you can also have a contained adventure and have it still be dope as fuck. And that's why I really like it. But back to Josuke with Crazy Diamond. I think the fact that he can heal is something that I really like, actually, because Jojo up till now, for the most part, have all been killing. And to have one that almost kill to heal, or heal, period, but not being able to heal himself, is one that I really like, because it's the first time it really has shown up in a capacity and in a Jojo nonetheless, right? Like a support role, but not really. But you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's also because like Josuke is unlike his descendants, no, his ascendants, like his ancestors, the predecessors, and all that. He's more optimistic. He's a lot more naive. He hasn't like experienced like true hardship compared to the other ones where like they've literally had their journey started as a result of someone dying before their eyes.
Yeah, I mean, with the rat thing is a very good example of, oh, we need to kill this thing. Here are some bullets, and then he freaks the fuck out, which, by the way, you probably should at that age, but it really does contrast with Jotaro's like weight, like seriousness of weight, and he seems more adult now. Obviously he is, but there's just that kind of thing where when Jotaro becomes the mature stoic, all right, this is how we do things, this like very cold, calculated, it's like super weird. It's just hella weird.
He's not an asshole anymore. He's just
an asshole to the enemies. That's what it is. But let me give a special, 100% special shout out to probably the bellboy in that hotel to carry like 5,000 suitcases with all these different hats. Also shout out to the fashion sense, whoever gave Jotaro the drip, bro. You
I think it was at that time when like when Araki started drawing a lot of inspiration from Vogue magazine.
I can tell, because that kind of get up fashion sense is just drip.
Like you could see it, right? Like you could see before it was like everyone was like, you know, fucking like testosterone to the bone, the alpha giga chad, like everyone was just, you know, that Hercules kind of body type, and then you go into,
and with Rohan Kishibe too, you get the metrosexual, like suave, stylish, Versace kind of look. It's pinpoint perfect.
The character designs are fantastic for part 4.
So let's talk about Koichi Hiroshi. So one thing I thought that was dope was several things. First off was his stand is fucking awesome.
I actually wanted to ask you that question because you were talking about Crazy Diamond. What did you think about the stands so far in part 4 in comparison to part 3?
I thought the hand was wasted in terms of what you can possibly do. Maybe there will be more. I thought some of the villains almost didn't even have time to use their powers. I think there was a puppet one that was just was super cool, but it ended way too fast.
As is the episodic format, right? I mean, again, not a
lot
of the battles in part 3 were that long, but at least you could see the full extent of the powers of the stand.
Like that one in the school where the puppet kind of mimics your actions, and then he had to he's like, why is he telling me to move it like that? And then you understand. I thought it was fucking ingenious. Then the whole of Echo, right, is the name of the stand, Echo, and then have it, let's say, not just be one stand, is also fucking dope.
That was that. Yeah, no, like Hirose Koichi, his stand is awesome. It's super dope.
He's my favorite stand, I think, in terms of just sheer creativeness that you can do. Okay, technically it's like multiple.
What about Heaven's Door, dude? Rohan Kishibe, man.
I haven't even gotten to MVP yet, man. Let me get all the honorable mentions, all the third place,
second
place.
We're talking about JoJo. I'm so excited.
So, I also really like the yandere. It starts with Y. What was her name? Shit.
Is it Yamaguchi?
The hair lady, right? So I really like her battle with Koichi because it was just a really good battle, and it featured a female JoJo user.
Sorry. Yamagishi.
Sorry.
Yukako Yamagishi.
Sorry, didn't female. It's not a female JoJo. A female stand user, nonetheless. Like it was.
It actually makes sense as well that as a yandere, her name is YY.
Yeah, and it's just really good. I love that fight. It was like, oh, I'm stuck here with this psycho treatment, trying to be turned into a quote unquote guy,
a better man,
and then that whole sequence was nerve-wracking, intense, torturous, not for the viewer, but you're just like, oh my god, like how is he gonna get out of this? He almost got out of it. It was like those psycho thrillers or horror movies trying to escape after being taken hostage or, almost being tortured and then trying to escape and then couldn't. And then
you could tell that along with the fashion inspiration from Vogue, there was a lot of that kind of thriller inspiration from Alfred Hitchcock, from Stephen King. There's a lot of really weird fucked up shit in part 4.
Listen, I don't know what Araki has suffered through in his entire life, but man, listen,
sick son of a bitch.
If a dog bit you or caused you trauma, let me just apologize on behalf of canines in general.
Do you remember the name of the dog? Arnold.
All right. The other thing I also feel is kind of weird is the censorship. I should have mentioned that in the non-spoilers, but I'll mention it here.
I don't remember that much about it, but you watched it recently, so do tell.
It could be just a Netflix thing, but for example, the ghost story, the head,
yeah.
But then they gray it out, they black it out. You still see bits and pieces and blood drips out, but then or when they stab into the flesh cube, the rat flesh cube, and then it spills out, they censor it a bit, or I don't know if it's purposely or not. It's just kind of weird. I'm guessing it is censored. I don't know.
I'd have to rewatch it to remember, but
that flesh cube was fucking scary as fuck.
Yeah.
By the way, that rat is also OP as fuck. To fucking mind trick, chess move, checkmate Jotaro and Josuke, fuck. Okay. But, Will, you have waited long enough. Let me tell you my number one favorite character of all time currently in JoJo, Rohan Kishibe. That whole sequence, right, from the moment he shows up for the first time to every time he shows up on screen. Okay, the fight itself, right? I have no idea the sheer mindfuckery I was going through because I was like, clearly it's Araki. He's making meta commentary. Oh, fucking Koichi's fucking can make 2 pages in 20 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever. And I'm like, Araki, you wish you could do that, right? You probably can do it in a very good amount of time.
And that's why he made Rohan Kishibe. He is Rohan Kishibe.
Yeah. And how about the sheer horror? And I think that is really it. It's suburban horrific. I'm not talking horrific as in it's fucked up because it is. But it's
it's that unsettling murder mystery feel, right?
When your face turns into a manga, what the fuck? That is scary as fuck.
You're venturing into Junji Ito territory.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not fucked up in the sense because it kind of gives you that thing of it looks like your skin is. It's a really weird look. I love it, but it just gives me this vibe of uncomfortability. I'm just uncomfortable. It's weirding me out. That is very reminiscent of horror.
Anecdotally, he mentioned that as something he likes to draw skin falling off bodies.
Oh, is that why the rat thing?
And also why he gave Heaven's Door as a power to Rohan Kishibe.
Yeah, of course.
So
that was the obvious one
yeah.
there.
So then Araki is literally he's like the Stan Lee of anime and manga, where he's there's something about me in this series, you're gonna find it.
And let me tell you, fucking dope ass Rohan Kishibe. And to be honest, I was like, how are they gonna get their way out of this mess. I'm like, there's just no way. And then it occurred to me, Will, you have to read the manga in order to fall into the trap, right? Where are they located in, Will? Where are they located in, Will? No, what country, Will?
In Japan.
Really?
In Japan, Morio, Japan.
Really?
I don't know where you're going with this.
What I'm trying to say is, you have to stay in your lane if you want to be the most overpowered stand ever, because not everyone is going to read your fucking manga. Like, maybe it's like one of those government conspiracies. Like, I need everyone to like manga so that I can be the most powerful not Jojo. I keep saying that. Most powerful stand user of all time. Dude, that power is fucking twisted, messed up, great, overpowered.
He's just drawing manga, dude. That's all he's doing.
Dude, when he stabbed that spider and did a bunch of stuff to it.
Yeah, that was hard to watch because I don't like spiders. So
no, but it was just like, I see, Araki. I know you are obsessed with certain things, so that is how you render the artistic expression of obsession, right? Holy fuck! And then when he gets to the ghost girl, I think that's a really cool arc because you then see Rohan Kishibe not as a villain, but as kind of like a neutral party. Like, you're kind of sus, but you're kind of okay. You have this power. You're clearly not trying to kill me. And I think in the very beginning, he says to Koichi, like, bro, like, we cool. I just, like, really like hanging out with you because shit happens around you, and I need it for my material. And I'm just like, that's such a fucking podcaster, creator, media type person thing to say. I totally love it. And no one else might feel that way who are not, creating any sort of like book or podcast or anything of that sort. But like, I was just like, yeah, I kind of get it. I kind of do. Oh, hey, that ending at the very end, visiting the grave, that was really cool moment too. And I just feel like, how is it possible that he will not show up again in other JoJo parts? He must show up because it would be just such a sad thing. And I'm thinking like, oh, is he like that Oracle in all the Marvel movies? There's like, there's like multiple things where like the one person that kind of is like the through line and all, or like the Stan Lee thing. Oh, he cameos in all these movies. I feel like, oh, he's the Rohan Kishibe. He's inserting himself, doing meta mindfuck, big brain bullshit. So yeah, I did not know why it take this long to also have a rock star electric kind of villain. And actually the stand showing up more than the actual villain himself. I did not like the villain too much, but it is an evil villain. Yeah. So in that sense, it was like really well played.
I think that because like in terms of the first three parts, right? We're talking like Phantom Blood, Battle Tendency, and Stardust Crusaders. The big bad is already established from the beginning, right? I think in the first like 2-3 episodes, you know who the ultimate villain is. Which episode did you finish on before doing the recording?
The Ghost House one.
So what, 17, 18?
There was a post-credit kind of stinger.
You saw the alleyway one, right?
Yes, there's a stinger scene where you see a hand. So okay. Which is, to my knowledge, according to also the title sequence, like the opening sequence, is the big bad. Like, you just can't deny, like, you can't not see that, right?
And that's the thing with, like, I guess the slow episodic buildup. Like, unlike the previous 3 parts, we haven't had an overarching, like, big bad in the first half. So that's why, like, it might feel a little bit weird with the episode.
So here's the thing that really caught me by surprise, which was, obviously, now that you have gone up to part 4, if you've decided to listen to this without watching part 3 in the spoiler section, nonetheless, that's on you at this point. Dio is obviously dead, or at least presumably dead, right? So that's why this bow and arrow thing is such a big problem. So apparently, already I've consumed it up to the part where they have it. The Speedwagon Foundation has it, which, by the way, shout out to the biggest bro of all time, Speedwagon. You're still relevant with your foundation. I will never forget you ever, okay? In the JoJo marathon that I'm like embarking on. But okay, so like I thought like, oh, that's the thing. He's just gonna shoot a bunch of arrows, a bunch of stands, and that's how it starts happening all over again.
I mean, that's how Koichi got his powers, right?
Right. So obviously, I know that is kind of gonna be the catalyst because you're gonna have to explain how the stands get reintroduced again. Because it technically ended with Dio, right? Am I wrong in that? Or Jojo,
no, you're right.
right?
You're absolutely right.
So either you go through the Jojo route or the Dio route, and now the Dio route's gone, so there needs to be something inserted in, right? So it's going to be awesome. I really like Part 4 a lot. I cannot really put my finger on why I like it. Maybe it's the awesome marriage of the 1990s, which is a very memorable time in my life because it's like when I was growing up. It is in like some sort of American suburbia, essentially. They play the radio DJ. Like the first scene you see is the radio DJ is like, "Hey, welcome back to FM 49.
Yeah.
Yo, have a beautiful day." And then you see like the hand, and you see like, "Here we go again." You know, like I just like that kind of introduction. The mommy Josuke was just a dope ass character. Jotaro being reintroduced again is great.
What do you think of the art, actually, in comparison to the previous version? Because this is
it's
little
less jagged. It's less edgy, like in like literally like
more like well formed and rounded, a lot more colorful than the previous parts.
I
in my
think
opinion.
yeah, exactly. I think the other parts, I would say the color palette is majestic, whereas here it is more. It's lesser, to be honest.
The previous parts were more like fantasy adventure
and wild, right? Here it's just more like, I mean, it looks fine. I thought one of the first stands you see, the enemy stand of Bad Company, was really cool.
Yeah.
I felt he got done dirty, but again, you're a JoJo villain, so you always get done dirty. But still, like, it's so good. I really like Crazy Diamond that is not only pink, but the fact that you can heal really does lean a lot in my mind in terms of giving it props for a JoJo stan.
And it's not just, a stand that can punch really fast, right? It's a punch. There's like added layers to it that give it a little bit of a difference, which I quite like.
So right now, if I remember, there's only 3 stands, right? There is Joseph, Jotaro, and Josuke right now.
The 3...
Because the other 2 are Hamon, right?
Yeah.
So technically, if you don't count the 2 Hamon, there's only 3 stands that currently exist in JoJo's.
The 3 stand users, yeah.
Yeah. I think Jotaro is the most boring.
Well, Jonathan... I mean, Joseph does get a stand. It's Purple Hermit.
Yeah, I like Purple Hermit a lot. But I would say out of the 3, Crazy Diamond is my favorite.
Yep. I think it's like,
and your pecs are hearts. Like fucking, how can I not love that stupidness?
I think like Star Platinum was like a good introduction to it, but it's like base model. It's vanilla.
Yeah, and I think by design he's meant to be like all powerful, quick reaction, like and then I like the fact that Jotaro reuses the time element, so that's a nice nod. I know it's supposed to be game breaking, like series breaking, but to see it kind of employed, it's just like, all right, of course. How did I forget you actually have that power? I forgot about that. I know it was mentioned by other villains, but to actually see it, it's like, oh yeah, hey, it's there. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Man, I can't wait for you to embark on the rest of Part 4 because
I think I would actually date that yandere probably.
Yamagishi.
Like, I would be...
Just don't piss her off, man.
I would be more okay dating her than the other yanderes on my top 10 list. How about that?
True, because she does have a heart. She does have a heart. And look, she's just looking for a man to treat her right. That's it. And if you don't treat her right, she'll fucking kill you.
Dude, she and Koichi are going to bang so fucking hard. I'm going to call it right now. It's so obvious to me.
Koichi MVP? If it weren't for Rohan Kishibe?
No. What do you mean? No, Rohan Kishibe is MVP.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. JoJo gang members, Koichi is the whole cake right now. I think Oyasu. Oh shit! What's his name?
The guy with the X across his face.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The hand is the weakest, and not in like because he has nothing to offer, but because his role is just so undefined, right?
But I think that kind of summarizes a lot of how the first half of JoJo Part 4 is put together.
And Joseph, it's like, oh man,
a lot of it is like not like put together to create an overarching story just yet, but simply because you just haven't got to the main plot of the story, which is crazy, right? You watch like well over 18, 19 episodes, and you're not even there yet, which means I'm so excited for you to go into the hard part of JoJo Part 4. Like, it gets crazier than that.
Okay.
It gets crazier than that. And because of the fact that it's no longer self-contained in episodes, it might be one or two, but the fact that, like, when you start watching...
it's like the world where it's like 5-6 parts, right? I'm totally down. Here's the one thing, though. Maybe it's because of the bow and arrow and kind of that's how the stands are created. There's no motif anymore that really ties everything together.
Yeah, you just haven't reached there yet. That's basically what it is.
But let me tell you probably the most weirdest thing that happened right after Joseph Joestar, which is the last thing that I actually want to mention that I actually really did not like at all. In fact, I would say it's probably the single most worst thing. And I keep flipping back and forth, but at the end of the day, it's just the thing that really just causes me a lot of pause. There was an Italian restaurant at one point.
Yeah.
He eats food. The stand is a tomato. And then that whole shenanigans. And then it just is never mentioned again. At least not yet. Maybe it will be. But that whole episode, I just did not vibe with at all. I really did not like that episode. It threw me off, and I stopped watching for like a day or two when I got back on that train. I'm not necessarily saying that those characters are bad. I'm just saying, like, just that whole episode I didn't get the vibe. I didn't understand the reason of it. And maybe I will eat my words when I finish it completely, but I don't understand the fuck that episode was about.
Yeah, I mean, again, like not all the episodes you're gonna like, right? I vaguely remember what you're talking about.
But he goes to a restaurant, eats food.
The chef is the stand user. Yeah.
And then it's just like, wait, but how did you launch an arrow into you? Went from
again, a lot of stuff just left unexplained, right? And unfortunately, it could affect like your appreciation for the episode or whatever episode you watch. I think it also just coming down to maybe Araki just getting a bit too experimental with stands, because you do notice, like, as you go through the catalog that is all of JoJo, especially when you start getting into the stand user
arcs. Oh my god, I dread.
There's so many stands.
I'm gonna lose my mind if I think I'm gonna have to make that list, but I'm so scared. I'm so fucking scared.
There's actually a JoJo quiz on Sporkle where you're supposed to try and name and recognize, try and find among a map of like all the stands from JoJo. There's, as of that quiz, which came out several years ago, there were 200 stands. So yeah, have fun trying to rank all of them.
Maybe I gotta watch them all. I just don't watch anything other than background information to rank all 200 of them.
Oh, man, you don't have to do that. That's way too many.
I'll figure it out somehow. Or maybe if I do it or not, I don't know. But Rohan Kishibe, though, is by far, every time he is on the 2D screen, is just brings joy to me in so many ways. And I'm excited to see Rohan Kishibe.
I think that summarizes your thoughts on so far what you've watched on JoJo Part 4.
I think it's a 9 already. It can only go down or up, obviously, but I can only feel that it can only go up unless they do not stick the landing, in my opinion.
Look how far you've come. You were like a steady 7/8 for JoJo's Part 1 through to 3.
Almost gave a 9 for the second part of a part. I think the world one.
Yeah.
Battle to Egypt, I think I gave the last part a 9, but I rounded it down to an 8 because the first part was a 7. Okay. I think that's it.
Well, I think then what we will do next is, for Gotta Watch Them All Part 7, whenever that will release, I will be covering Season 2 of SAO. Should I watch Gonna Get Online as well? Or
No, because I think we split it such that you would watch that and a bunch of other stuff. I think Ordinal Scale
The
as well
movies,
as
right?
included with GGO or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you'll finish off the rest of JoJo Part 4 along
Plus,
with the extra episodes from Rohan Kishibe.
Oh no, sorry. Thus spoke.
Yeah, thus
Ro-
spoke.
Rohan
Is
Kishibe.
it thus spoke Kishibe Rohan?
Oh
Rohan?
fuck! I think it is because it's like
The other way around,
the
yeah.
other way around in terms of pronunciation, depending on Western or Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm pleasantly surprised that I am so enamored by what I've already seen of Part 4. I was ready to be hesitant because they don't drop the globe, but ended up, hey, who knew that keeping it contained rather than making a grand adventure could actually be cooler than I thought.
If only I could be as positive and optimistic about what's to come for me when it comes to Sword Art Online Part 2. Sword Art Online Season 2. So, y'all gonna find out whether I love it or, more predictably, whether I hate it. So,
Do you like butts, Will?
yeah,
Do you like lightsabers, Will?
sorta, yeah.
Do you like bullets, Will?
Is that what all of SAO2 is gonna be?
Exactly.
Butts, sabers, and bullets.
But you can always reach us through our Gmail.
GAPALETTE@gmail.com.
Did you know that's all lowercase, all one word, Will?
I do know that.
What about our Twitter handle, Will?
At Palette Good.
Is that capital P and capital G all one word?
I thought it was all lowercase, one word.
Nah, it's capital P and capital G all one
Well,
word.
there you go.
You can also reach us through our Discord server using the info link that's in the show description. Will, did you know we also have a website? What is our URL?
www.GOODANIMEPALETTE.com. All one word, all lowercase.
Yeah. So, Will, what is the music credits for this episode?
Oh, God. One day I'm going to do the credits. Okay?
So it's in your. Did you know that our intro music is In Your by Hasten? Our break music is Botai by Oi, and our outro music is I Don't Mind, the instrumental version by Particle House.
I only found that out after recording over 70 episodes of this freaking podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, but just like Will, you can always support the music artists that we feature by listening to them on Spotify, Apple Music, or other music listening platforms. And our royalty-free music was provided by Epidemic Sound. If you are interested, you can sign up using our referral link that is in the show description. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, I don't think I have many final words. I'm, well, of course, as for the podcast, I'm eagerly awaiting to watch Season 2 of SAO. Probably going to hate it, but I'm still going to watch it and at least give my 2 cents on what's to unfold. I'm sure for you, on the other hand, you're going to absolutely enjoy the ending to Part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
But next episode, just to tease a little bit, is ASAP, is it? Right?
ASAP 2.
Right.
Going into, back on the manga train.
Yeah, so we're not going to watch shit or actually try to catch up on some stuff and read a lot of other stuff to kind of prep you guys for upcoming adaptations. I think our selection the second time around is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I'm really far behind in all of them.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, do you like anime, Will?
Yeah.
Do you like manga, Will?
Yeah.
Do you have a platform to talk about it?
Yeah.
Is your palette good?
I guess.
Do you have an artist palette?
No, I have a degenerate weeb palette.
If you're as cultured as Will and I, you are in the right place.
In safe hands.
And listening at the right time, I guess? I don't know where I'm going with this.
You're just waiting for me to hit the
No,
stop
I think from now on, at least for the rest of the season, what I'm going to do is keep talking
and ramble
until you find a good time for me to stop talking, and then afterwards, you find a good time to press the stop on the record button. But really, what you don't know is that everyone else, the live audience here of nobody, population 0, unless you include us, population 2, I guess, if you want, is now witnessing the sheer stupidity of me rambling on and on and on and not ending. By the way, I think the heretical was a villainous from savior, from tyrant queen to savior or whatnot. I want it for ASAP 3, but I felt like we couldn't get that in time, which kind of sucks. But hey, what are you gonna do about it, Will?
I'm gonna hit the pause
I don't know.
button.
I don't even think that's correct. Well, you're not gonna do that.